Not good at all.
Give these idiots the smackdown that they deserve. Untrained, ignorant people who don't have a clue. Ultra-crepidarian, 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 ultra-crepidarian. Untrained, ignorant people who don't have a clue. Untrained, unqualified, ignorant, arrogant individuals. What the hell? What the hell? Untrained, unqualified, ignorant, arrogant individuals. They don't even read Arabic. What the hell? Ultra-crepidarian, 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 ultra-crepidarian. I don't respond to stupidity and foolishness. What the hell? Ultra-crepidarian, 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 ultra-crepidarian. I don't respond to stupidity and foolishness. What the hell? I don't respond to stupidity and foolishness. Ultra-crepidarian. I have rarely come across somebody who is more vulgar, vile, foul-mouthed, vicious, repugnant, depraved excuse of a preacher. What the hell? What the hell? Ultra-crepidarian, 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 ultra-crepidarian. And I wonder, truly, does he know he's lying, or is he mentally insane? Ultra-crepidarian, ultra-crepidarian. Untrained, ignorant people who don't have a clue. Ultra-crepidarian, 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 ultra-crepidarian. Does he know he's lying, or is he mentally insane? What the hell? Ultra-crepidarian, 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 ultra-crepidarian.
Sometimes, yes, ignorance is bliss.
And I wonder, truly, does he know he's lying, or is he mentally insane?
Hallelujah. Let Lord Jesus Christ shine forth. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us. Welcome to live stream, which is supposed to be very simple, with Anthony Rogers. Peace of Christ be with you, Anthony. How are you?
And also with you. I take that as an opening shot telling me not to. Hey, wait a minute. You just played the song. I think that's Spinning Remixes, by the way.
Yeah.
With Yasser Qadi trying to reintroduce the word ultra-crepidarian into common usage, at least among Muslims. So with that opening, I think I've been invited to use big words and wax eloquent. Okay, Yasser Qadi won't complain.
Okay, don't write your PhD in my live stream, or don't introduce like intro of your PhD in my live stream.
Okay, and for the record, I'm not claiming to have a PhD, but
no, but your answers are like as long as PhDs.
Oh, the length. Okay, so yeah. we're shooting for shorter length. All right.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
How do you think you will be doing by end of this live stream?
Oh well, it remains to be seen, but I know that some of the lead up, because I haven't seen what you're going to show me, I don't think, but I've seen some of the stuff that's been happening prior to or in relation to this. It's impossible to see it all. There's so much. I mean, you mentioned, I think the video we're going to look at is over 7 hours long. I don't have 7 hours to listen to any one Muslim talk, but
that's what I thought. That's what I thought when I first saw the video. Actually, a month back, I saw a tweet where Daniel Haqiqatjou was bringing Islamic scholars and then talking about praying to Jinn, calling upon the Jinn, all that. Like he was discussing that on Twitter. And then I got in touch with a brother. We had a chat about it stuff. And then I was digging into it. And then a couple of days ago, I saw a video Adnan Rashid with Daniel Haqiqatjou, I was like, oh, what is this? And then video is 7 hours 54 minutes. I watched almost 6 hours of this video. It's very, very long video, really very long video. And please go and watch the full video in Haqiqatjou's channel. Link, like you can see the channel stuff over there. I was first very disturbed by the Adnan Rashid's attitude towards Daniel Haqiqatjou. But as I start kind of continue to listen, I just like, oh, this is not very helpful to Islam. So I thought I'll ask you if we can talk about it, because I remember you having debates on Tawhid, and in these debates, Tawhid versus Trinity, in these debates, usually they say, oh, Trinity is so complicated, no one makes sense of it, and then Tawhid is very simple. And then you listen this 7 hours 54 minutes thing, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is very much messed up. Even Tawhid is not simple. And then I asked you, and it was, I think, on Sunday or Monday, I sent you this kind of well-worded email encouraging you to watch the video, but also kind of keeping in my mind, probably you won't be able to watch it because it's too long. And then 5 minutes before the live stream, I noticed that I sent you completely wrong link. And I find out from you that you watched like maybe 20-25 minutes of that wrong link. So you are in a live stream which you have no idea what they are going to discuss. So this is
yeah, I think I have some idea, but I haven't seen this specific version of the debate. So, you know, and you mentioned something about my background or things I've talked about on Tawhid. I mean, this is common fare. This is well known in the literature. It's just nice when it suddenly comes to public attention, because Muslims are good at hiding things, right? But, well, I should say they're good at hiding things at times and in certain contexts, but then they always ruin it. Somebody ruins it. They always blow the lid off of things. Yasser Qadhi exposed the holes in the narrative about the Quran, and other Muslims are doing the same thing he did on other topics. You know, but when I've debated Tawhid, I usually focus on whether or not Muslims can make intelligible the notion of Allah having attributes in light of their insistence that the doctrine of the Trinity is a violation of monotheism, since we assert not only that God is one, but that he's a plurality of persons. So I want them to do the same thing when it comes to his attributes. And, you know, looking at the Islamic literature, you see it's all over the map. Muslims have never agreed on how this all works out. And that is all bound to have implications downstream. You know, if you have different starting points, you're going to end up in different places too. And so this stuff that I guess we're going to look at today is just sort of like the downstream stuff. You know, can you pray to others besides Allah?
Yeah.
You know, and can these beings do things like Allah with or without him granting them the ability, all that kind of stuff.
It's very strange to see how Muslim world is fighting regarding Tawhid. And in the video where Adnan Rashid is like simply telling Daniel Haqiqatjou, you don't know much about these things, like just you don't know Tawhid, stay away from Dawah circle. So one of the good thing of Daniel Haqiqatjou's video, I don't know if he does that for all of the videos or not. And then on the comment section, he's got pinned comment. You get to see all the topics are being discussed in timeline. It's so practical, very helpful. I recommended you to do that, Anthony Rogers, as well for your videos.
You know, yeah, sometimes it's other people that do it, but I think there's some new thing that maybe now, I don't know. Anyways, people used to watch the video and then they would note when new topics were introduced, and then you can put it in the description box. But I don't have the time to go back over my own videos and
he did like for 8 hours video. Imagine like he had to watch that 8 hours video to put it there. I thought that was like, yeah, that's like something. Wow. So the part we are going to focus on this video is from 1 hour 46 minutes. It goes until 3 hours 53 minutes.
Oh, and by the way, Elle just said that she could send me a program that I guess does it for you. That little thing. So yeah, check with Elle.
So you think Daniel didn't put this together?
Well, wow, I know he may not know about it. If he said he did it, I have no reason to doubt him.
I don't know if it, I just like I thought like that was like awesome. This is like very practical. Yes, Al. Remember, I am your one and only friend. So we are gonna focus on 1 hour 46 minutes to 3 hours 53 minutes. So I kind of try to edit out and then cut things out. So therefore, I just want to encourage you to go to his channel and then watch that content, watch what we are going to look. And then you kind of, because I like at the end, because I edit it out, so it won't be exactly what it is, but I try to kind of get out the main ideas from the discussion. Someone thinks my days are numbered. I know, trying God. When the right time comes, he will take me home. No worries about it.
Of course our days are numbered. That's almost like a quote of a Bible verse. Everybody's days are numbered.
So, yeah, I think he figured out, or she figured out something new he thinks. So, Anthony Rogers, do you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, there was a debate between Robert Spencer and Brother Rashid with Daniel Haqiqatjou and Jake the Metaphysician or something.
So I remember that it occurred, and I saw snippets of it, but I didn't watch it.
So in that debate, two Muslims are coming together to fight one another. Fight against Christians, argue against Christians. So that was like, I think, end of 2023. Something happened between them. Now, Daniel Haqiqatjou and Jake seems like they're enemies. They don't like one another at all. They call lots of names public to one another. So because there are lots of like in-house fights, and apparently it is public knowledge, I think now, Jake is the guy who feeds the Islamic Dawah gangs regarding the Trinity, helps people to prepare for their Trinity debates. Therefore, those big Dawah gangs practically picking up the side of Jake, doesn't matter what Daniel says. Daniel Haqiqatjou invited Adnan Rashid to discussion. Video starts very nicely. Daniel introduces Adnan Rashid, expresses how great and respected Adnan Rashid is, and then Adnan Rashid turns up. Overall, when you watch the 6 hours of 8 hours this debate, you will figure out Adnan Rashid turns up with his team to expose Daniel Haqiqatjou. Overall, from human perspective, you feel very sad for Daniel, because Adnan comes, Daniel thinks he's going to go to the conversation. Adnan comes with like, yeah, let's fight. And everything kind of goes, out of control. And Adnan Rashid tells Daniel Haqiqatjou doesn't know what Tawhid is. He shouldn't even do debate. He shouldn't even talk about Islam publicly, all that. Okay? That's kind of background introduction. So in that debate, in that discussion, they are discussing, because like they had conversation on very basics. Now, Adnan Rashid is going to expose Daniel Haqiqatjou. Adnan Rashid goes back to a couple of months ago or something. There is a video where Daniel Haqiqatjou is kind of talking about whether praying to Jesus is okay or not, okay, as a Muslim. So I'm going to play from there, and then probably there will be parts I probably mistakenly edited out all those kind of things. If I notice that, I will fill you in. So when you have, if you kind of picked up something that's disturbing or you want to comment on it, just let me know. I'll play the video and then we take it from there. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. So let's see how simple this Tawhid is.
Well, this is definitely you, as I can see. This is definitely you.
Imagine this scenario where a Christian is praying to Jesus and saying, oh, imagine this Christian has some kind of disease like leprosy. It's like a skin condition. And he knows that Jesus can heal leprosy. And he prays to Jesus. And he thinks that Jesus is God and also the Son of God in the Trinity. And he prays, Jesus, heal me from my leprosy. And is this shirk or not? Obviously, it's shirk. It's shirk akbar, clear cut, no doubt about it. And anyone who doubts that praying to Jesus as God is committing shirk is also a kafir, if you doubt that. Because it's very clear cut. This is praying to another God other than the God, Allah.
Stop it right there, because there is a, I don't know if people will catch that, but there's an important distinction that he's making. He says not only that it's shirk to think of Christ as God and pray to him as such, it's also shirk not to denounce that as shirk. So you don't only have to refrain from that in order not to commit shirk, you also have to oppose that, condemn that, right? That's an important distinction, I think, because I haven't seen this video, but others where some of this stuff is being talked about. Part of their issue isn't that the other guy thinks that he should or could pray to some saint or something like that, but their problem is that he's okay with somebody else doing it. If you think back, remember Yasser Qadi, the Yasser Qadi video where he was wrestling with some of these issues because he was always a hardcore Salafi. Way back, if you look at some of the older videos, some of them are on YouTube, you can see him in his Salafi days, in his hardcore Salafi days. He's got the big old beard, and he's wearing the getup, right? The thobe, and he's hitting all the Salafi talking points on Islamic Aqidah, and he's really denouncing anything smacking of shirk, like praying at a grave, praying to a saint, or whatever. He's really attacking that sort of thing. But a transition took place eventually when he had interactions with other people over some of this stuff, and he said he couldn't deny their Islamic status. He recognized their genuine piety, their taqwa, right? Their reverence for Allah and so forth. And so he had to make a decision. Does he reject their claim to be Muslims? Does he takfir them? Or does he modify his views that this is shirk? What he came down on was, he said it's haram for them to do this, but it's not shirk. Certainly not shirk akbar, right? So the reason I bring this up is because notice he's making this distinction between praying to Jesus as God and not condemning it as shirk. Both of those are shirk. The act of praying to Jesus as God and the act of not condemning, or the refraining from the act of condemning, that sort of thing. Right? Now here in this case, it's explicit that it's to Jesus as God, not just to Jesus as a prophet or something like that. But all that's important. There is a fundamental issue there, because you can get lost in this discussion because some of these guys will disapprove of that sort of thing, but then they're still being called, or they're still being said to be guilty of shirk or to be upon kufr, something along these lines, even though they're not engaging in this or advocating it. They're just saying it's not kufr for these other people to do it.
Yeah. So, just can I get definition for two words that, in case people don't know? One of them is Tawhid, and the other one is shirk. Did you also pick up the two words Haqiqatjou is using? Shirk akbar and shirk. He's making like great shirk versus like normal shirk. Would you be able to comment on these two words?
Shirk Akbar, like
Big.
associating a partner with a mouse.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. But I think he means like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So Tawhid, the simple definition from the Muslim perspective is that it means Islamic monotheism. The longer answer is that it's the distinctive form of Unitarianism advocated by Muslims, where Allah is the only God. He's unipersonal, so not tripersonal. He alone possesses certain attributes and doesn't share those with others, and he alone performs certain works. He doesn't need anyone else to engage in those works with him. So that's the basic definition of Tawhid. Shirk would be anything contrary to that, any attempt to associate any other being with Allah in his essence, his attributes, or his works. And then Shirk Akbar, Shirk would be, as I said, associating partners with Allah. Shirk Akbar would be like major shirk, like big time shirk, great shirk, right? So
what we are going to notice is in this video that Shirk Akbar and Shirk, like now there is huge Muslims are trying to make definition between them. Like if you are doing Shirk Akbar, you are outside of Muslim circle now. You are identified as disbeliever. But if you are doing Shirk, you are still Muslim.
Yeah, now I wouldn't agree with all their attempts at making this distinction. However, there's a sense in which even we would say there are actions that people do as Christians that are inconsistent with the first commandment. So the first commandment says, have no other gods before me. Whenever we do anything that is contrary to God's absolute authority over us, we are violating that commandment. But there's a difference between, let's say, somebody lying and saying they held their breath for 1 minute when they only held their breath for 59 seconds. That's a violation of God's authority, who tells us not to lie. There's a difference between that and somebody worshiping another god, right? So we see differences between things. They're disapproved by God, but there's a range on that continuum, right? Jesus said to to Pilate, he said, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin, right? So there are greater sins, but the problem is with these guys is often the sources don't make the distinctions where they make them. The Quran seems to disallow all sorts of things that these guys are confused over. And then at other times it's ambiguous, which gives rise to all these conflicts. The sources aren't clear. There's just a hodgepodge of sources that they're drawing from that create ample room for all this confusion.
Well, I hope we are ready for more confusion then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm always expecting it.
Islam, he reads the Quran, it starts to make sense, and then he becomes a Muslim. He accepts Islam. But he becomes like a Sufi. He becomes a Sufi Muslim, and he starts thinking about Jesus. Well, Jesus is a prophet, and Jesus had these different miracles. He could cure the sick by the power of Allah, by the will of Allah. So Jesus is like a wali. Jesus is like a saint. And I'm going to pray to Jesus. I'm going to do istighatha to the saint, to Jesus, to heal my leprosy. Oh, Jesus, heal my leprosy. This is istighatha. So the wording is the same. The dua is the same. The only thing that is different is his beliefs, right? Because before he believed that Jesus is God. After he believes that Jesus is a wali and is not God, and he's a wali that can only do miracles through Allah. But the act, the dua, is the same exact dua for the exact same thing, and to Jesus. What has changed is just his belief about Jesus. Is Jesus God? Or is Jesus a person, a prophet, who has been granted the power to heal miraculously by Allah? Are these two acts exactly the same? The Salafis who say that istighatha and praying to the Prophet or praying to Jesus is shirk akbar, like what Jake claimed and what all these other people are claiming, if it's shirk akbar, that means it's exactly like the dua that he was making when he was a Christian. But obviously it's not. Obviously there's a difference. Why? Because he has different beliefs. He doesn't think that Jesus is God anymore. He's a Muslim. He says the shahada. He believes that only Allah is God and only Allah is Lord and only Allah should be worshipped as God. That's his belief. So how can what he says after becoming a Muslim be exactly the same as what he said as a Christian? It can't be. It can't be the same thing because his beliefs have changed. So that's why I think it's reasonable to say that, well, before, when he was a Christian, he committed shirk akbar. After he became a Muslim, he's also doing something that, if you say it's shirk, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you that it's not shirk. But can I be 100% sure that what he did is shirk akbar in the same way as a Christian praying to Jesus? No, I can't say that with 100% confidence. Because there does seem to be a difference. There does seem to be an important difference there.
What are your thoughts on what Daniel said so far?
Now, I don't know what Adnan's going to say here, but I know what he should say here. Number one, I mean, think about it. This is just classic. Even if the Quran comes down on the side of Adnan here, it does come down in other ways on the side of what Haqiqatjou is saying, not necessarily with respect to these issues. What I mean is the Quran will often kick certain things out the front door and then let them back in through the back door. So very sneakily. So think, for example, the Quran repudiates the pagan notion that there are intercessors with Allah. Right? That's a belief of the pagans that the Quran denounces. You can't seek their intercession. But then it turns around and reintroduces, both in the Quran and in the Hadith, the idea that Muhammad can be an intercessor. And then as you look at the sources, there are other intercessors besides Muhammad. Muhammad's just the best of them. So it's basically reintroduced something that it's rejected, right? I think that's fundamentally inconsistent. It's more of a game than it is, anything genuine and sincere. But the same thing goes on this issue. So think about it. Muhammad came and he upbraided the pagans for believing that there were other deities that you could pray to that had intercessory power. And if it's now allowed, just so long as you don't call them Allah, you don't say this being's, isn't that the same thing that the pagans were doing?
Yeah,
right?
Here my question would be, you are a Christian who is looking what Islam is teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Haqiqatjou has been on Dawah field for a long time. Adnan Rashid has been on the Dawah field for a long time. Why two Muslims are discussing this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's obviously problematic. And the other thing is, like, they keep saying Daniel doesn't know what Tawhid is. Yeah, why doesn't he know what Tawhid is by this point? If it's so simple.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't know it by this point, he grew up Muslim. Right? If he doesn't know it by this point, what hope does the average Muslim in the mosque have?
Yes, an example Daniel is using, if I remember correctly, he's like Shia who becomes Sunni. So, example he's using is like someone who just joined into the Muslim circle, new into the faith. So, it makes sense. Like, okay, someone just hasn't got the Tawhid correct, therefore they are doing these things. But I don't know if you picked up or not. So Daniel Haqiqatjou made a distinction between me praying as a Christian to Jesus versus me when I convert into Islam, I'm calling upon Jesus. So there is lots of debate is going to take place between them. Like, is calling upon and praying are the act of worship or not?
Yeah, and that's why the point I brought up, your point is obviously an important one for people to catch. These guys can't seem to agree on what Tawhid is.
Yeah.
That's a problem for them. The point that I'm making is he's trying to justify this, at least in the sense that you don't brand this person as guilty of Shirk Akbar.
Yeah.
On the same grounds that the pagans could have responded to Muhammad with, but the Quran doesn't accept that, does it? At least not in some of its sayings.
Yeah.
Because the pagans also believed that this ability to intercede and answer prayers and so forth came from Allah to them, right? They didn't, the pagans had a hierarchy. They believed in other gods, but Allah was the chief deity. Allah was the high God. And so any power that these other beings had was believed to flow down to them from Allah. And so if Daniel here is justifying a Sufi or somebody else doing this sort of thing on the grounds that they're not Allah, but somebody that Allah has empowered to do this, it's just the same thing the pagans thought.
Yeah.
No different. I mean, that's the classic Salafi response, by the way. But I agree, though, with that line of reasoning. I think that is something Muhammad was opposing. And so for Muslims to now hold that position is to hold something that he was opposing, though I don't think Muhammad opposed it consistently, because he didn't do much of anything consistently. And that's why they can even have this debate, because certain things in the Quran and the Hadith will give reason to condemn it, and other things in those same sources will give you reason to justify it.
Yes, so we will hear how Muslim world was divided, whether that can be done or not. It was like, even that shows, even from the beginning, Tawhid was not very clear at all. Therefore, we are not surprised in 21st century Tawhid is not clear. Shall I continue?
Yeah. Let's hear what Adnan has to say here.
Yeah, let's hear what he's going to say.
So, Brother Daniel, here, the Ummah is unanimous. There is ijma' that if you make dua to anyone other than Allah, regardless of your intentions, dua is an act of ibadah by default. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stated, ad-du'a huwa al-ibadah, that dua is the essence of ibadah. It's the essence of ibadah. Okay? So, praying to Jesus, which is worshipping Jesus, regardless of intention, is kufr and shirk. Okay? So, you said you are not 100, you are in doubt. You are clearly you're not clear on Tawhid and shirk and ibadah. You're not clear.
I say in the clip that it is shirk, but is it shirk akbar? And you have to understand the difference between shirk and shirk akbar. If you had studied, you know that this terminological difference is very critical, because if someone commits shirk akbar, then they can no longer be considered Muslim. They can no longer, because of the very act or the very statement, they are no longer Muslim. So when it comes to a person praying to Jesus as God, that is shirk akbar. There's no question that this person is a mushrik. They cannot be as Muslim because they are praying directly to Jesus. However, is that exactly the same as a person who believes in Allah, has said the shahada, but he is making the same kind of prayer to Jesus? Yes, that is shirk. Watch the clip again, rewind it. I'm so glad that you brought this clip so that people can see it for themselves and listen. Yes, it's shirk, but is it shirk akbar? That means that person is immediately taken out of Islam and can no longer be considered a Muslim, because he's exactly like the Christian, he's exactly like the mushrik. And this is something where the ulama of Islam have differed with a very large range of difference. So the position that I have and I expressed is the same position of Shah Waliullah ad-Dehlawi, major scholar of India in the 18th century. You have Al-Alusi, the great Iraqi scholar and faqih, who has the same position. He says that this is shirk, this is haram, but is it taking you outside of Islam if you do it? Is it shirk akbar? That we are not sure. This is why this is a major area of scholarly disagreement and discussion. In fact, what I expressed in this clip is what the majority of the ulama of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah has said. The people who disagreed are just these modern Wahhabis, and then very select scholars in the past, such as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. Is it, and this was what I'll ask you, is it Shirk Akbar to make a request to Jinn?
I'll pause here then. Anthony, would you be kind enough to just like help me to put together Shirk versus Shirk Akbar? And also, Adnan said that dua is the essence of worship, essence of ibadat.
So you're asking me to clean up somebody else's mess. Now, I'm happy to do that for my own children.
Okay,
but...
so here is Daniel Haqiqatjou came together with Jack, and then they were like so good team. They attacked Robert Spencer and Brother Rashid and Christian faith. Now they are against one another, and then everyone is against one another in Muslim circle. One side is picking up that Jack's side, other side is clearly no one is picking up Daniel's side. But both of them are making mess. So someone needs to clear up. I know they're not your kids, and if they were your kids, probably you would discipline them. Not sure. Like, we just need to kind of make sure we understand what is happening.
Yeah. I don't think they've got what they need, the resources to take care of all this. He is making a distinction. I don't think it's a legitimate one, but Adnan is doing at this point he's only shaking his head. So, but here's something I find interesting. And this is just something for people to remember, not only when dealing with Muslims, but with other groups as well. Whenever you get this approach to truth that depends on tradition and stuff that's developed, it's not that that stuff's not relevant to look at and learn from and so forth, but you're always going to get this sort of thing where both sides are claiming as sort of the end of the argument, all the scholars agree on this. That's an easy statement to make, because who can just grab all the scholars right now, right? And just, it's almost like, I mean, it's just, it reminds me when I say to a non-Christian, I say, show to me, he's claiming the Bible teaches something. Show to me that the Trinity is not true. And they say, oh, it's all over the Bible. Okay, show me, well, just, anywhere, it's everywhere. I say, show me, right? They say the whole Bible because obviously I can't say the whole Bible in 5 seconds, right? You're being asked to deal with a mountain of a claim, which is, I don't know if you're catching my point. Like, they're just trying to end the argument by saying everybody agrees with this. And what's he going to do on the other side? He's going to say the same thing, right? And then they're just going to disagree. And how are they going to disagree with the other side? They're going to say, well, any scholar you bring isn't really a scholar, right? He doesn't really speak for al-Sunnah, whatever, however they say it, right? They don't speak for the Ummah, right? So anyways, it's just, I think that what they need to do is get down to the sources and actually look at what the sources say and see if Muhammad condemns certain things as shirk and makes a distinction between shirk and shirk akbar. Though I would say Adnan did quote one thing. He quoted hadith that referred to prayer as worship.
Yeah.
He uses the word dua and ibadah.
Essence of dua, prayer is the essence of worship.
Yeah, and so just by definition, that would mean you're committing shirk. But yeah, is it shirk akbar? Because Daniel has introduced a new distinction here.
See, like, you listen to them and then you see, like, yeah, Islam is very simple.
All the scholars agree.
Yeah.
Except the ones that don't.
Let me just go a little bit back.
I got to hear him again.
Disagreement and discussion. In fact, what I expressed in this clip is what the majority of the ulama of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah has
Now
said.
it's the majority.
Disagreed.
So he says majority, and then Adnan Rashid says all ummah agreed.
Yeah, a majority, all majority. Your scholar doesn't count.
Yeah.
And notice Daniel only mentioned, as far as I recall here, two. He gave two examples. That was the best he could come up with. I'm not saying he couldn't come up with any more if he thought a little bit longer or if he was able to open some books and so forth. But the point is, I highly doubt he's read what all the scholars say. The idea that he's read all the scholars, is just pushing a little too hard. I don't think Adnan's read all the scholars either. And so what these guys are doing is they're assuming that the scholars are going to agree with whatever position they come down on. That's just how a lot of people think. If I think this position is sound, if I think it's rational, then surely the scholars who are smart and studied would agree with that too. They couldn't possibly all disagree with me, or a lot of them, right? So typically what these guys do is they find 1, 2, 3 scholars that hold their position, and then they extrapolate from that and say all the scholars hold the same thing.
Well, so are you saying Muslim missionaries are trying to figure out the Tawhid from many scholars versus majority versus all?
They've taken their sheikhs and scholars for lords.
Yep.
That's
Nice.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Wahhabis, and then very select scholars in the past, such as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. Is it, and this was what I'll ask you, is it shirk akbar to make a request to Jinn to assist you? Is it instead of Allah? Instead of calling to Allah, I call to the Jinn and I say, oh Jinn, can you help me? Oh Jinn, assistance. Jinn madad. Yeah, I calling to the Jinn instead of Allah. Is this shirk akbar that takes someone outside of Islam, yes or no?
Very good, Brother Daniel. Amazing, amazing. You see, this is why I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know if you're deliberately not understanding me or not paying attention to my question. I made it very clear that dua is ibadah. Ibadah is only for Allah. Anyone who does ibadah of anyone other than Allah is a mushrik. This is shirk. There is no issue of akbar and asghar here. The one who worships anyone other than Allah is a mushrik outside of Islam. No,
yes
no,
or no. Why? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Brother Daniel, brother,
you did yes or no with me. Yes or no?
Be gentle.
Why can't you answer the question?
Brother Daniel, be gentle.
Answer
be gentle.
Wait, I got a question.
We're gonna get to this.
I got a question because
you can't ask question until
well,
cleaning up the mess.
No. It occurs to me if it's not only shirk to pray to other than Allah, but even shirk to not identify that as shirk akbar, taking one outside of Islam, then wouldn't that mean that by Adnan's criteria that Daniel's not a Muslim since he doesn't? So then why is Adnan calling him brother?
Oh, well, he's going to call him brother even a 7th hour part. And then he's going to, we are speaking like brothers here. And then you will get to see like how he's cutting off Daniel, not allowing Daniel speak. It's just like very, he's treating him as non-brother.
Well, you should stop calling him one.
Well, hopefully he will learn from you.
Not.
Brother Daniel, you don't know me.
Yes or no?
But you are simply ignoring the point. Maybe deliberately. I don't know. I can't get inside you. But you need to understand my question. If dua is ibadah and ibadah is only for Allah, then dua can only be for Allah. Okay? The Quran has made it clear in multiple places that make dua to me, I will respond. Surah Baqarah, for example, is there. Make dua to me, I will respond. Okay? So, ibadah to anyone other than Allah is shirk akbar. It takes you out. But you said you were talking about shirk asghar and shirk akbar. You said you're now claiming that you did believe it's shirk asghar, but not Shirk Akbar. If you're not sure if it's Shirk Akbar. It is Shirk Akbar. And if you think it's not, then you are in doubt about your Tawhid, number one. Number two, you don't even think if it's Shirk. You're not even sure if it's Shirk at all. That's what you said. So then our positions are completely opposed. I quote. So then our positions are completely opposed. You say, yes, it is known with certainty that going to the grave of the Prophet and asking him directly for healing is Shirk Akbar, like the Trinity or praying to an idol. I say no. It might not even be Shirk at all. It might not even be Shirk at all, and certainly not Shirk like the Trinity. Let's debate it. You try to prove your position and I'll try to prove mine. First you said...
So now there's three positions.
Yeah, that's what he was reading from one of the tweet Daniel Haqiqatjou posted.
Yeah, so now there's three possibilities here. This act is Shirk Akbar, or it's just Shirk, or it's not even Shirk.
Yeah.
And Daniel, apparently, according to that tweet, is in the third category down here.
But why Islam is not so clear that two individuals who are very much involved with dawah are trying to figure out what is Shirk?
Muhammad was sent to clarify those matters wherein Jews and Christians were confused and in doubt. That's why these guys are in confusion and doubt, because, oh wait, that doesn't work, does it?
So they should be asking us all these things. When you are in doubt, go and ask people of the book.
Yes, we're here.
It's just
open
like
arms. I mean, we're here, but look, you keep getting these threats. Who's the Muslim that was you threw the thing on the screen a minute ago? The Muslim threatening you, a second Muslim. Is it the same Muslim?
No, I think their name was different. I don't know.
But that Muslim says something like they're going to do unspeakable things. So, you know, I always pay attention to not only what people say, but how they say it. They often tell on themselves. This person is acknowledging that what they intend to do is evil. They're referring to it as unspeakable, right? Something that's right or righteous is not unspeakable. Remember how the Lord in Scripture denounces idolatry and says, don't even take the names of their gods on your lips. He doesn't mean that you can never refer to the pagans' gods if you're referring to them as false gods and so forth. But he's saying never use their gods' names reverently. Don't use them to take oaths. That's really... So our speech is important. It tells where our allegiances are, what our commitments are, where our loves and our dislikes are. This person acknowledges that the action that he or she as a Muslim intends to perform is unspeakable, which is just a way of saying it's evil. It's too hideous to mention.
I'm trying to find it, but I don't think I can find it now.
Well, I remember I saw it flash on the screen.
I put it there.
Unspeakable.
And then I moved on.
If a person's actions are righteous, they're not unspeakable.
But some people have different love language, don't you think so?
That's true. That's true.
You know what? I don't know if you saw on the news or not. So when on 7th October, when Hamas kidnapped lots of men and women, and then they kidnapped kids as well. So there was this family. Everyone is asking what happened to mom and two kids, because kids in the past seen in the Gaza, all those kind of things. Tomorrow, Hamas is releasing their bodies because Hamas murdered them. One of the child is like 9 months, other one is like 2 years old, something. Once, like when I heard that, yeah, Hamas murdered them, I'm just like, yep, there is nothing Muslims would do to someone who is not Muslim. I will be surprised by now. If they can kill 9 months old baby, yeah, they will do unspeakable things to the others too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like my moderators delete the comment or something. I can't see it here. Anyway, so on. Okay, shall I continue with the video?
Yeah, I think I can already anticipate they're going to keep going back and forth saying the same basic thing with each other.
Yeah, they're
So-
going to also kind of bring up couple of scholars to back up their claim. They are
Yeah.
going to one same scholar, and then they're trying to interpret that scholar.
So you already noticed Daniel doing a little bit of what I was saying people do all the time, right? So they'll claim all the scholars say this. Both sides want to claim this. They want to claim unanimity, consensus, unbroken chain, all this kind of stuff. But then when counterexamples are brought up, then they have to make excuses for why that doesn't disrupt the consensus. This person doesn't count for this reason or that reason. So you notice Daniel was trying to do that. On the one hand, initially he seemed to incline towards the idea that everybody agrees with him. Then it became the majority. But then he starts talking about, he says, and Wahhabis and this and that. And that. So it looks like even if it's a minority, it's a pretty sizable one. I don't know what the figures are with respect to Wahhabis. I think in terms of when it comes to Sunni Islam, I don't know, what do they represent? 20% of the Ummah? I'm not sure the exact stats. Right? I know that the breakdown in terms of Sunni Shia is something like 80% to the 20% Shia. But within the Sunni camp, the vast majority are going to be Asharis or Maturidis or something like that, not Salafis, Atharis, and so forth. But it's still a sizable number, right? I mean, certainly the Salafis are the most vocal among Muslims online, on the streets, and so forth. They're the ones that everybody's hearing. So, anyways, my point is just to say he's already whittled down from all of the scholars to a majority of the scholars, and then saying, well, there are also these others, but those are Wahhabis, right? Those are Wahhabis and Ibn Taymiyyah, right? Those guys. The idea is they don't really count. They're not really important. They don't really compromise the point that I'm making about the consensus.
Like I wouldn't be surprised a Muslim sitting down with someone who just become a Muslim, and they are going through things. Okay, this is, as a Muslim, we don't do it now. This is shirk. This, like, if you do this, you are identified as non-Muslim from now on. All that. Because I have sat down with ex-Muslim and then went through the view we see Bible, for example. Like, I remember the times like people in the Bible, when the things are in parentheses, people would skip that with thinking, oh yeah, that's like, because it's addition in the Quran, so they think the same thing stuff. You go through those very basics and then say, okay, this is how we handle those things. I can understand if they are sitting down with a new believer and then trying to break things down for them, but just they are going online and calling one another disbeliever, ignorant, because very basics of Islam, I find it's very concerning. So simple Tawhid is not simple at all.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the parentheses. I don't know if you ever saw Sami Zaatari. He was a Muslim apologist way back, and like so many of them, he retired or was retired, put out of action. But one time he wrote something, I think it might have been on Bassam Zawadi's website called Monotheism, which is also a defunct site. At least Bassam is not still actively engaged in apologetics. If he puts anything up there now, it's probably not apologetically related. Anyways, but he put this thing up there and he makes this point, and I kept scratching my head thinking, I don't even understand what this guy thinks he's saying. Because I was going to respond to it, but there were these parts of it where I just couldn't make sense out of it. He kept saying the words, the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth, or something like that, in John 1:14 were not part of the original text. Right? So John 1:14 says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And he kept saying they're not part of the original text. And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? I'm not aware of any textual variant there. And even if there's a variant, there's no question where the preponderance of textual evidence lies. All the text critical editions render it just this way. So I kept looking, thinking maybe there's some variant I'm not aware of. Maybe there's some obscure manuscript not reflected in the standard text critical copy. The text critical editions of the Bible are those that show you where the, all the manuscripts that say this and so forth, or those that might inadvertently leave something out, and where the weight of evidence is. And I kept thinking, I don't know what he's talking about. How can I respond to this? And then I realized the reason he thought it wasn't part of the text is because he saw it in a version. Maybe it's the New International. I don't know which version does this, but it put those words in parentheses. And in the Quran, when it has parentheses, it's because the translator is adding words to make Allah's speech intelligible, because Allah doesn't know how to communicate. So the translator needs to greatly assist him. Okay, this is called translation akbar, or something like that. I'm kidding. But the translator is assisting Allah so he can communicate to people. And so when Zatari read this in the Bible, he thought that was an indication that the translators were adding it to the Bible because the biblical authors had similar difficulties communicating like Allah. But that's not it at all. It's just they're indicating that the author has made a parenthetical comment. So anyways, yeah, I didn't realize at first, even though I've read at that point, I mean, this was a long time ago, I had read numerous copies of the Quran that do this, but it just never occurred to me that this was what was affecting his thinking when he read the Bible. So anyways.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until someone told me after that. I just like, oh, then I'll make sure, like, thinking like, okay, others probably thinking the same like me. So actually, that's the word of God needs to be read too. Anyway, okay, let's continue.
You accept the Shirk Asghar, but you're not sure if it's Shirk Akbar or 100% Shirk. Now I've showed you your tweet where you said that it might not even be Shirk at all. Brother Daniel, you're clearly confused. You don't know what Tawhid is. You don't know what Ibadah is. You don't know what Shirk is. Clearly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be making these confusing statements. You just confused everyone in front of me right now here. You said you're talking about Shirk Asghar, and you are not talking about Shirk Akbar. It is Shirk Asghar, but I'm not sure if it's Shirk Akbar. And here you're saying in your tweet, it might not even be Shirk at all. So, Brother Daniel, please choose where you stand.
Because istighatha is a very wide concept, and it has many associated practices, and it has many associated modalities. Don't say no. If you say no, it means you're ignorant of the topic. And you're
I'm not talking about. We're not discussing istighatha.
Exactly. Yes.
Dua. You said dua. Making.
That's
dua
what istighatha is. Istighatha is dua. Yep.
No.
This is what is seeking assistance.
Not.
Oh boy, it gets more complicated.
Okay, it's okay. You can't say it's complicated, Anthony. 2 Muslim missionaries are discussing what is dua, what is prayer means. Dua is a prayer.
They're discussing whether dua, prayer to others besides Allah, are Shirk Akbar, Shirk, or not Shirk. Now we're introducing a new distinction between dua and istighatha, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, it almost sounds like, I'm only guessing here, I have to hear it, but it almost sounds like Adnan is going to be okay with istighatha, or maybe I'm going to have to hear him, but all these distinctions to make up for Muhammad's mess. See, I said, you're asking me to clean up their mess and they're not my kids, but this is really Allah's mess, isn't it?
And Muhammad's. Allah and Muhammad.
Yeah. I don't know who to blame, Allah or Muhammad. I mean, it all comes down to your view of whether Muhammad was just making it all up, or whether there was a being back of some of this that's feeding some of these bad ideas to Muhammad. I think it's probably a combination, but
when you travel to countries who are not like English speaking world, as well as they are not they've got like lots of different tribe languages, they don't worship triune God, or they don't worship God of Islam, for example, like African countries, and even some East Asia countries. When you are talking about biblical terms, you need to break it down, those very words, like, okay, this is prayer. And then you kind of break it down, how you do it, all those very basics, okay? But because they don't have that word in their own language, as well as in their own like lifestyle, they don't do those kind of things. So in here, what I'm saying is, two Muslim missionaries are trying to figure out what is prayer and how long they have been on the field.
yeah, and I'll bet you. So we've got the distinction between dua, istighatha. Now we need them to introduce tawassul and all the other things and try and put those in their place.
It would be all so simple if Allah just give us the definitions.
And yeah, if Allah owned up to his or lived up to his claim to be giving a clear book that dispels the clouds of darkness and confusion. What a mess you get me into.
The context, once again, you have interrupted. Once again, you have
Brother
interrupted.
Daniel, you're digressing from the topic.
Can I speak now?
Okay.
Can I?
Look,
Can I speak now? Can I speak? Istighatha is the context of the clip that you played. So you played a clip of me out of context, and I said, what is the wider context? Exactly. I asked you that question so that you could be honest and say that this is a clip where you're discussing istighatha. And the tweet that you read is also, you didn't read the entire tweet. Or the thread. It's about istighatha. Istighatha is to seek aid, to call upon someone, call on Allah, call on someone else. I agree that in many types of istighatha, many types, it is clear-cut shirk. And it's shirk akbar.
Dua is one of them. Dua is one of them. Yeah.
Can I please speak?
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Yes.
In other cases, because istighatha again is one of these terms that is used very broadly. So someone will say this is istighatha, and someone will say no, this is not istighatha, this is dua. And someone else will say no, this is not dua, this is something else, a third category. So if you go,
so it's not only praying to someone at three categories: shirk akbar, shirk, or not even shirk at all. And now praying has three categories.
Dua and istighatha and
another one.
And so it would sound as though he's saying, but I'm not even sure of this, that istighatha is the broader category. Dua is just a particular form of istighatha.
Yeah.
But then I'm not sure, because when he says some people are using it more broadly, I don't know if he means they're using it loosely. Like sometimes you use words loosely. Like if I say, oh, look at this meal that I created, I don't literally mean I spoke it into existence from nothing. I'm using the word create very loosely, right? That's not the same thing as, I don't know. So I'd have to listen to some of these guys more to know some of what they think they're getting at, but obviously they don't know what they're getting at.
I thought I am going to be kind and then just not make you to go through that suffering, but you want to listen them all.
Look at all those books behind Adnan. You'd think
he would read them.
Well, no, I mean, you'd think that, I'm sure that Haqiqatjou has a bookshelf too. They probably have a lot of the same books. I'm just wondering what the major conflict is, as it, you know.
Well, they are trying to figure out what is dua right now. So they're trying to figure out what Tawhid is, what Shirk is. Clearly, it wasn't clear in those books.
Yeah, Adnan says Daniel doesn't know what Tawhid is.
Yeah. Would you prefer? So what I've done was that over 2 hours clip, 2 hours part in that video, I just like took repetition stuff, some parts out. Would you prefer, since you didn't get to watch it because I didn't send you the right link stuff, but would you prefer to kind of watch it on YouTube, proper version without editing, so it will make more sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you're saying you're going to switch to that? No, I'm fine with whatever you've got here. I thought you were talking about.
No, like because I edited out.
No, I'm fine. I mean, see, even if at times I'm not sure exactly what they're getting at, that's indicative of a problem, right? This religion is supposed to be the final religion,
and very clear.
This is supposed to be the simple truth that everybody knows from birth and only fails to own up to because of indoctrination from parents and others. So I mean, it's just supposed to be rudimentary to who we are as creatures. We know this. It's very clear. It's very simple. And so if these guys can't agree on what it is, and in listening to them, I think at times I'm not even clear on exactly where either one of them falls on certain points of this. I think it's a huge problem, right? I mean, okay, Adnan Rashid said the same thing about Yasser Qadi when the holes in the narrative happened. He said Yasser Qadi shouldn't speak about things he has no knowledge about. Ya Allah. Yeah.
He wrote a book about it.
He wrote a book about it?
No, he's got like book on Science of the Quran.
Oh, yeah, Ulum al-Quran. Yeah, I've got that over there.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect here, just in terms of credentials, background, training, and all that, there's no question that Yasser Qadi has it over Adnan Rashid. That doesn't mean Yasser's right. I'm just saying in terms of training, for Adnan to say you don't know what you're talking about, again, they don't realize how they're shooting themselves in the foot.
So I'll give you something before, kind of, in case I edit that out, it's not in the clip. So Daniel Haqiqatjou thinks calling upon the jinns should not happen. Okay? Versus you are gonna hear, I hope I didn't cut that out because it was just like too much repetition. Adnan Rashid is gonna say, yeah, it's okay. So it's like, it's just gonna end up very differently. Like right now they are discussing whether a new believer is praying to Jesus okay or not. Why are you not using the right word? It's supposed to be Shirk Akbar, but you are not sure whether it's Shirk Akbar or Shirk or not even Shirk. And now they are discussing what is the dua calling upon. So 3 options. At the end, he's going to be okay with calling upon jinns.
Adnan?
Yep.
See, that's where it sounded like he was going, like, because when he wanted to make this distinction between istighatha and dua, like, these are just terminological differences. They're not differences in what's being done. All that is just masking the issue, right? In other words, if I go outside and I take a gun, I probably chose a bad example, but let's say, I rob a bank, and I don't want to call it robbing a bank because that's a crime. So I call it taking out a loan or borrowing, right? Borrowing money. It's still the same act no matter what you've called it. Shakespeare famously said, a rose by any other name still smells as sweet. The idea is you can call a rose whatever you want, but go up and smell it. It's going to smell the same. It's going to look the same. It's going to feel the same. The words you use for it aren't going to alter that fact. So, but here they are. Adnan wants, obviously he wants to make allowance for calling upon Jinn Probably because he knows the sources allow for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
they're not going to justify any kind of distinction between dua and istighatha as though one is, you know, fundamentally wrong and the other. I mean, it's the same act. You're doing the same thing, whatever you call it.
Let's see. Well, on the going and robbing a bank.
So I mean, think about it. So they're saying you can't call upon Jesus, but you can call upon Jinn.
Yeah.
You
See
know.
how serious that is?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it is.
yeah. So pray to your devils, fellas.
It's like genie.
To the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you ask the Prophet, you're calling to the Prophet, and you're saying, "Oh Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, oh ya Rasulullah, make dua for me, for healing or for guidance or for a spouse. Oh ya Rasulullah, make dua for me to Allah to grant me X, Y, Z." Is this shirk or not? And you'll be surprised, maybe because you haven't studied this, I don't know. But someone like Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says that this is not shirk akbar. He will say this is haram, this shouldn't be done, but this is not necessarily shirk akbar. And you have the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah as well, calling to the jinn. Here is the quote from Majmu' al-Fatawa. One who employs the jinn for permissible matters is like someone who employs humans for permissible matters. For instance, if they command the jinn to fulfill their obligations or prohibit them from doing what is forbidden, using them in lawful ways, this person is akin like a king who governs similarly. So calling to the jinn, calling to angels. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal says, calling to the angels. Abdullah, the son of Imam Ahmad, said, and this is also reported, I heard my father, Imam Ahmad, say, I performed Hajj 5 times. I got lost on my way during one Hajj and I was walking. So I began to call out, "O slaves of Allah, O slaves of Allah, show me the way, guide me." I kept doing that until I found the road. So here you have Ibn Taymiyyah, you have Imam Ahmad, and they are calling. This is, you might not say this is dua, but this sounds a lot like dua. This is calling.
Now he says it's dua.
Instead of Imam Ahmad saying, "Oh Allah, show me the way," he says, "Oh slaves of Allah, oh angels of Allah, show me the way." So is this shirk akbar? If your claim is that this is shirk akbar, then that means that Imam Ahmad was a mushrik kafir, and you should takfir him. Or Ibn Taymiyyah, when Ibn Taymiyyah says you can call to the jinn for permissible matters. For example, you are suffering from poverty. "Oh jinn, bring me wealth. Oh jinn, bring me wealth. Oh jinn, bring me money. Bring me riches. Oh jinn, bring me health. Bring me medicine because I have certain diseases. Bring me medicine." This is what Ibn Taymiyyah is saying is not shirk. It's permissible. You can call, okay? Instead of saying, "Ya Allah," making dua only to Allah, "Please take me out of poverty. Please guide me, oh Allah." Instead of that, you can call to the angels to help you with these matters, according to Ibn Taymiyyah. And according to Ibn Taymiyyah, if you go to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask the Prophet, you ask and you call on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, "Oh Rasulullah, make dua to Allah for me," this is not even considered shirk akbar by Ibn Taymiyyah either. So this is these are the discussions that are being had on, well, what is the nature of calling? Yeah, I agree with you that dua is ibadah. I consider all of these practices haram, and I consider all of these practices to either be shirk or even shirk akbar. However, there is nuance, there is context, there is a discussion. Now, if you want to make a hard and fast rule and say, no, dua is worship, any calling except to Allah is shirk akbar, and Daniel, if you don't affirm this, then you are also, your Tawhid is in question, then also you have to question the Tawhid of Imam Ahmad, question the Tawhid of Ibn Taymiyyah. Be consistent. That's all I'm asking you to do. Be consistent in your standards, Brother Adnan. I have a long...
Just stop there for a sec, just so people understand who these figures are that Daniel's primarily resting on when he refers to Hanbal, Ahmed bin Hanbal, he's referring to one of the founders of their four madhabs, right? The schools of jurisprudence in Islam, and also a very important figure in Islamic history. Remember, Ahmed bin Hanbal was the one who championed the uncreated nature of the Quran over against the Mu'tazili, and it's his position on the Quran that is largely considered Islamic orthodoxy today. So he was their Athanasius, if you will, right? Athanasius is the one who defended the full deity of Christ over against the innovations of Arius. Well, Ahmed bin Hanbal defended the uncreated nature of the Quran over against the Mu'tazili and others. And then Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, whom they often call the Sheikh of Islam, is a very important figure in Salafi Islam. He's a earlier scholar from at least the Salafi perspective who's highly regarded. And so Daniel's bringing the right people here in a sense. Since he's talking to Adnan, I mean, Adnan is advocating the standard Salafi position. So Daniel has brought two people that are very important in Salafism for sure, and Ahmed bin Hanbal even for Islam in general, not just Salafism in particular.
No. Why no one is bringing Muhammad or Allah?
Oh, well, because they've taken their sheikhs for lords, as Muhammad said in the Quran.
So you are telling me Ahmed bin Hanbal and Ibn Taymiyyah, they are the giants of Islam, right?
Well, so Ahmed bin Hanbal would have to be affirmed by all Muslims as a Muslim. He's a very important figure in a lot of ways, but you're going to get a lot of Muslims debating what his actual Aqidah was, because they know they're supposed to respect him. So they have to argue that he didn't teach certain things or he did, right? So a lot of Muslims will accept him even if they're not Salafis. Salafis will insist that he taught their Aqidah. But Ibn Taymiyyah certainly taught the sorts of things that were held or came to be held by the Salafis. So he's huge for Salafis.
Okay. So Daniel is bringing two giants of Islam against Adnan Rashid.
Mm-hmm.
Do I remember correctly? While we get to read in the customs of Muhammad that Muhammad has some interaction with jinns, as well as in the Quran we get to see some jinns are good jinns. They become Muslim and they do dawah stuff. Would you be kind of overall summarize actually Muhammad and jinns didn't have very good friendship? The things they were doing to jinns, the things jinns were doing to Muhammad wasn't that good at all. But now Muslims are discussing whether they can call upon the jinns for help. I'm guessing those are Muslim jinns, or what do you think?
Well, it's interesting because Satan is supposedly a jinn. Now, there's actually evidence in the Islamic sources that the jinn are angels. They're just a subcategory of angels.
Made from fire.
Most Muslims would say they're not angels at all. They're just a separate class of beings. In any case, remember Muhammad said you're supposed to lick your fingers when you eat, right? And you're not supposed to leave other things, because why? The jinn will get it, right? So he's obviously not very hospitable. Think about it. If there are good Muslim jinn and Muhammad's not leaving any leftovers or anything because he's afraid Satan will get it, he's also depriving the good jinn. And why is he so concerned that the evil jinn are going to get to it first before the good jinn, unless he's surrounded by the evil jinn? Like they're always at his right and left and on his shoulder and whispering in his ears and, up his nose and all. It's obviously this guy's plagued with the idea that him and the evil jinn are in constant proximity to each other.
You've got like tradition talks about, your devil left you.
You're
kind of things. So you've got like very creepy teachings from the teachings of Islam, Muhammad's interactions as well as Muslims' interaction with jinns. Yet these giants of Islam, Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Hanbal, they are okay with calling upon jinns.
And you know, you think about it, do they have the name? Do they have the names of these jinn? Because if they're just calling out, "Oh, jinns, help me," you know, how does that work? What if the wrong jinn answers? Right? I mean, yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, but years ago, and there's probably more since I last saw this sort of thing, but somebody in Saudi Arabia was bringing a lawsuit against somebody because certain stuff in their house came up missing. Their keys, the remotes to their TVs and other things. Turns out it was a jinn.
Yeah, I remember.
It couldn't possibly be because the kids are misplacing things or because they're careless and not keeping track of their keys. It's got to be the jinn. You know, I'll tell you what probably happened. What probably happened is the kids probably misplaced it, but to get out of trouble, they said, we didn't do it. A jinn must have done it. Right. And so now the parents are bringing a lawsuit against the jinn to return their stolen property.
Otherwise, they're going to put the jinns in the jail.
Yeah, I mean, so how do they know if they're calling out to jinn? It's not one of those mischievous jinn that likes people's keys, right? Maybe there's a key jinn, there's a remote jinn, there's a
baby jinn.
Yeah,
maybe baby jinn was just playing with the kitchen stuff or remote and lost it.
Yeah, my wife was trying to find the soup ladle the other day, and I was tempted to blame it on the jinn because my son was about to get in trouble because he puts away the dishes. And so I was going to protect my son and say, no, I wasn't going to do that. But that's what happens in an Islamic household. It's always possible to blame the jinn.
Yeah, they're always there to take the blame. That's a good thing, though. Use it as a blessing.
Yeah, but the problem is, again, how do they know
which jinn is going to respond?
Yeah, and they're just indiscriminately calling out to the jinn. They're talking to the dead, or they're talking to demons, or they're talking, obviously I don't think that there are any good jinn. If you're talking about things other than the holy angels and mankind, other spiritual being, you're talking about evil spirits. And if they're calling upon those, calling them jinn, they're just calling on evil spirits.
Well, let's see.
Let's see. I've already concluded.
No, let's see.
I have concluded the matter. Okay. See, so
sometimes my computer
Haqiqatjou is doing his rabbit face and
rule and say, no, dua is worship. Any calling except to Allah is shirk akbar. And Daniel, if you don't affirm this, then you are also, your Tawhid is in question. Then also you have to question the Tawhid of Imam Ahmad, question the Tawhid of Ibn Taymiyyah. Be consistent. That's all I'm asking you to do. Be consistent in your standards, brother Adnan.
I have a long
brother.
And you have actually misrepresented Shah Waliullah Dehlavi. Shah Waliullah Dehlavi categorically stated in many of his different works that, praying to the dead, going to Qubur. For example, I'll quote one of his statements, Al-Khair al-Kathir, from his book Al-Khair al-Kathir. Realize that asking needs from the dead while recognizing that this is a means to having it fulfilled is kufr. It must be avoided. It's kufr. Okay? And the list goes on. In Tafhimat al-Ilahiyya, he also states, all who go to the city of Ajmer.
I thought he was going to give one quote from him.
Sorry?
I thought he was going to give one quote from him. I want to hear him address Ahmad bin Hanbal and Ibn Taymiyyah.
But remember, he said all of the Ummah is agreeing with him.
Well, and that's just that's just rhetoric, right? That's the rhetoric of people that can't demonstrate a consistent position from the authoritative sources, right? That's supposed to shut down the argument. You're supposed to just fall over because we've said the consensus agrees with us.
Yeah.
or anything similar to them for the purpose of an Eid, he requests from them, he has committed a sin graver than murder and adultery. He has no likeness but the likeness of one who worships creatures, or the likeness of those who would call Lat and Uzza. You just slandered him.
Why don't you finish the quote?
Yeah, continue. You want me to finish the
Why
quote?
did they leave out
Also,
Manat?
we do not make explicit takfir of an individual due to the absence of a
Whoa.
text from the... Wait. Let me finish the quote. He has said it is like worshipping Lat and Uzza. He's not talking about the hukam. He's talking about what the act is. The act is like worshipping Lat and Uzza. What do you mean, ho? I can do who as well, but let me finish the quote. Although we do not make explicit takfir of an individual due to the absence of a text from the lawgiver on the specific matter, and thus ta'wil being possible. Everyone who specifies life in the deceased and requests needs from him, his heart is sinful. So what Shahwalullah is talking about here is that tafsil is needed. You need to ask the person, is this tawassul? Is this istighatha? But generally he's saying going to the dead, asking them. And you cannot ignore his statement. It's like worshipping Lat and Uzza. Who were worshipping Lat and Uzza? The mushrikeen, the kuffar. Okay, so you are slandering Shah Waliullah, not knowing what he wrote. I have his books here. I have his quotes here in front of me.
It seems like you don't even understand what you're reading.
I
You just read him say he has not disbelieved. The one who
No, he's
calls has not disbelieved.
He is saying, okay.
No, let me finish. I let you speak, and then as soon as I respond, you want to interrupt me. This is not good adab, brother. I'm sorry to say. Let me finish
You know
what I'm saying.
You know what word?
Let me finish. Let me finish the sentence instead of interrupting me. Okay. He is saying, I'll read it exactly what you read on Lat and Uzza for help. However, we do not state explicitly that he has disbelieved due to the absence of a text from the lawgiver in this specific matter. So what is that saying? That's exactly what I have just said. That is exactly what I've said. We do not consider the ones who do this as kafir.
Okay.
The ones who do this, if again, you're interrupting me, let me finish, subhanAllah. We do not say that he has disbelieved. You read this. This is exactly what I said. He has committed a grave sin. He has committed a crime worse than murder and adultery, and he is doing an act that is like what the mushriks are doing. But we don't say that he is a kafir mushrik. We do not say he has disbelieved. That is exactly what I have been saying. That's why
not exactly.
As an authority, and
it's still a problem. But remember, the tweet that Adnan read earlier, he said he's not even sure X, Y, or Z is shirk.
Yeah, so that just a second. I just put on the private chat the quotation he's reading. Did you get to see that?
Well, let me see. I didn't read it, but
so that's the what quotation he's reading.
Okay.
Yes, and yes, there was a tweet before that regarding whether this shirk akbar, shirk, or not even shirk. Yes.
My point is just to say he's shifting, and I think they both are dancing a bit, but clearly Daniel has shifted here at this point because he wants to be in agreement with this scholar or wants the scholar to be on his side. Daniel earlier said, first of all, this sort of thing is not shirk akbar. And then Adnan quoted him saying he's not even sure such things are shirk. So now they're quoting a scholar who says that it's like, right, calling on Al-At and Al-Uzza, and it's a high crime and so forth. And Daniel saying, I agree with that. That's exactly what I said. But that's not exactly what he said. Remember, he's not even sure it's shirk. So how is that the same thing as saying it is shirk? It's just not shirk akbar.
I'm just trying to get his tweet on the screen.
So I'll read the statement they're talking about since you're looking for something. It
Yeah.
says anyone who goes to the town of Ajmer, which means to the grave of someone, or to the grave of Salar Masood, or to any such place for a need he requests of them. Indeed, he has committed a sin more grievous than murder and adultery. His likeness is not but like those who worship the creation, or like those who call on Lat and Uzza for help. So this is clearly identifying it as an action akin to that of pagans who are guilty of shirk. And my point has been, Daniel, because this person goes on to say that this is not a clear
Cut.
act putting one outside of Islam, he wants to say he agrees with this, but not unless he calls it shirk. I'm just pointing out that he's not being consistent. I don't know where he stands. Is it shirk and not shirk akbar, or is it not shirk at all? Because now what he's saying is that it's shirk.
Well, I can't find the tweet. I was going to put the tweet on the screen, but yeah. So I thought Tawhid was very simple.
Well, simply put, you are wrong.
I have the same position as the great Sheikh, because
No, you
he's
don't.
exactly saying that he has not disbelieved. We do
let
not
me-
say. Why does
Let
he,
me read him again.
Why does he say that we can't say that he disbelieved? Why doesn't he say that? If he has committed shirk akbar, why doesn't Shah Waliullah say that he has committed shirk akbar, like worshipping Lat and Uzza, and he is a mushrik? Why didn't
Because-
Shah Waliullah say that?
I'll tell you. Now it's my turn. Okay, let me finish. Because he knows there are nuances. He knows that you don't know what action is being committed. If Shah Waliullah knew they are making dua, which is ibadah, to a deceased person, he knows this is shirk akbar. So you're misrepresenting him. You can't just use one statement, one sentence. Wait, let me finish. One sentence. Because Shah Waliullah, you don't know what he's saying. He's saying that actions are judged by their intentions. When a person, for example, is doing tawassul, for example.
Wait,
he's going to
notice-
the Kaaba and he's
Notice,
saying,
wait a minute.
"Oh, shit,
It was Adnan earlier who said this is shirk irrespective of intentions. Remember the act of calling upon somebody.
Yeah.
These guys can't even be consistent with themselves, not just each other. Adnan is now apparently disagreeing with the Adnan of 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Let's say maybe more than that, but yeah.
Okay, 15. I'll give him 15.
No, because I edited the clips.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't look good, does it?
No.
Okay.
deceased person, he knows this is shirk akbar. So you're misrepresenting him. You can't just use one statement, one sentence. Wait, let me finish. One sentence. Because Shah Waliullah, you don't know what he's saying. He's saying that actions are judged by their intentions. When a person, for example, is doing tawassul, for example, he's going to the qabr and he's saying, "Oh Sheikh, dead Sheikh, you pray for me." This is not making dua to the Sheikh. This is tawassul. Haram tawassul. We believe it's haram. It's not allowed. Okay? But if he says to the Sheikh directly, just like you said, making dua to Isa alayhi salam, you're not sure it's shirk, the wrong guy.
Subhanallah.
Because
Can I finish my sentence? Can I speak?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to speak in this conversation?
Wait, now he said, wait. Can you go back? Because now he said Tawassul. I'm trying to hear the distinction he's making for the act of going to the grave with the scenario Daniel made about praying to Jesus.
Asking the dead person to pray for you, or asking that person to answer your prayer.
Okay, so yeah, but see, these distinctions to me just it's all just a game of hiding the sin. It's like the game, where you're trying to find the ball under which cup, and somebody's just moving it around without you noticing. If you go and address somebody at the grave and ask them to pray for you, you are praying to that thing to pray for you.
You are talking to the
Simply, when you don't call that first step prayer, you haven't changed what you're doing. Right? That's all these guys are doing, is they're just renaming the same act. So, I mean, how many people, I mean, most of the time when I pray, I don't use the word prayer, right? I don't call it anything. I just engage in the act. It doesn't change being what it is if I call it prayer or don't call it prayer. And what he's doing, you know, he's trying to make this distinction between addressing somebody in the grave and praying to somebody in the grave. What's the difference? What does it look like to do something different when you're addressing somebody in the grave and you're praying to them? Besides the sound of the word, is there something different that you're doing? I mean, this is just the idea that this is going to hold up before God. And I say this not just as, you know, response to this sort of thing on the part of Muslims, but even others that, you know, would say they're Christian that do this sort of thing and try and justify it before God. God can see right through these little farcical attempts to hide things. These guys might be impressing each other by making these terminological distinctions, but the reality is it's the same thing.
You can easily turn to the Lord and then ask him, but well, apparently, yeah, they are looking for other ways. They are looking for other ways. This is not the clip. This is the clip.
Because he knows there are nuances. He knows that you don't know what action is being committed. If Shah Waliullah knew they are making dua, which is ibadah, to a deceased person, he knows this is Shirk Akbar. So you're misrepresenting him. You can't just use one statement, one sentence. Wait, let me finish. One sentence, because Shah Waliullah, you don't know what he's saying. He's saying that actions are judged by their intentions. When a person, for example, is doing tawassul, for example, he's going to the qabr and he's saying, "Oh Sheikh, dead Sheikh, you pray for me." This is not making dua to the Sheikh. This is tawassul. Haram tawassul. We believe it's haram. It's not allowed. Okay? But if he says to the Sheikh directly, just like you said, making dua to Isa alayhi salam, you're not sure it's Shirk, the wrong guy.
Subhanallah.
Because
Can I finish my sentence? Can I speak?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to speak in this conversation?
Brother Daniel, please try to understand. Come to dua. Dua
Please,
to
brother,
Isa alayhi salam.
can I speak? Can I
You're
speak?
still defending it. You're still defending it.
Can I speak?
Yeah. Yes.
You have just read a
Just a quick question, Anthony. You know, during the prayer, when Muslims are in sajda, they have this chit chat with Muhammad in tashahhud. So, is that seen as shirk or haram at this stage?
Well,
Or
it
is that like
depends.
shirk akbar or shirk?
It depends who you're asking, and it depends at what point you're asking it, because they don't agree with each other. But then, as I just pointed out, Adnan doesn't agree with Adnan if it's 15 minutes apart. So, I mean, but obviously, since they do that, it's in all Muslim prayers, they're all going to have to justify that somehow.
Well, they might be able to justify as we go forward.
quote that doesn't contradict anything I said. It doesn't contradict the previous quote from Shah Waliullah.
Sorry, I don't agree with that. I don't. No, brother Daniel, stop doing this. It's not working. Stop. I'm not going to let this happen. Don't do this. Shah Waliullah is not saying that making dua to.
You don't even let me. You don't even let me speak. You don't even let me speak.
Shah Waliullah.
You don't even let me finish a sentence. Brother, please let me speak.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I please finish a sentence, brother? This is not appropriate. It's a very bad look.
But you're wasting time, brother Daniel. You're wasting time deliberately.
Me speaking is wasting time to you. This is not a conversation. If I can't
because
speak.
I'm
not here to
conflating
brother, please.
different modalities.
Brother, please. No. I want to address your quote. Okay, your quote says that it's shirk. Yeah, and I say that it's shirk. That doesn't contradict anything. I say it's shirk as well. Is it shirk akbar that takes you outside of Islam? Nowhere in the quote that you read from Shah Waliullah does he say calling to these saints or calling to the Prophet ﷺ is shirk that takes you outside of Islam. produce a quote from Shah Waliullah, from all of these quotes, that explicitly says that if you are praying to the Prophet ﷺ, or you're making a request of him, you're going to the graves, you have left Islam. You have left the fold of Islam because you have committed shirk akbar.
Brilliant.
Yes, you have committed
Good.
shirk. You have
Good.
committed shirk. But let me finish. Let me finish, Akhi, please. Produce a quote that says clearly that you have left Islam, not that you've committed shirk. I already concede that. I agree with that 100%. If you go to the Prophet ﷺ's grave and you say, Ya Rasulullah, guide me, that this is shirk, I am 100% agreed with you, with Shah Waliullah. We're all on the same page. The only debate, the question is this shirk that takes you outside of the fold of Islam? That is what the debate is. So if you bring me 1,000,000 quotes from Shah Waliullah that says that it's shirk, it's shirk, it's shirk, that does not disprove my position.
Okay.
Bring me quotes that say that this is shirk that takes you outside of the fold of Islam. The quote that you read yourself, and maybe you didn't understand what you were reading, says that he has not disbelieved. It's actually a point against your position, and in favor of my position.
Good.
So if you can prove that, bring me a quote like that.
Okay. Firstly, simple question, and answer it directly, please. Is worshipping other than Allah shirk akbar that takes you out of Islam?
Yes.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Is dua worshipping?
Define dua.
Dua
what
is
dua?
Yeah. Dua is a Shari term. It has Shari meaning. You were discussing Sharia. When you mentioned these things, you were discussing Islamic theology. In Islamic theology, dua means only one thing. It doesn't have multiple meanings. Dua means calling upon Allah. This is dua in Sharia. Okay. You said dua to Isa alayhi salam. You're not sure if it's shirk. Now, Brother Daniel, it's very clear to even...
You're lying.
Wait. Okay. This is Shah Waliullah.
Akbar. Get your categories right, Adnan.
So they don't even know what dua is. They are debating what is dua. They are debating what is prayer. And once they figure that out, is this type of prayer shirk, or is this type of prayer shirk akbar? Depend on which answer you will say. If you say this is shirk akbar, then that person who did the prayer is not Muslim anymore. But if it is just a shirk, or not even a shirk, then you are still Muslim.
Well, yeah, and don't forget, we've now got a bunch of distinctions between things that don't really look all that different, like tawassul, istighatha. What am I forgetting? Dua. So
it's supposed to be very simple, and this video is like 7 hours 54 minutes long. Over 2 hours of that conversation, 2 hours 22 minutes of that conversation is whether it's shirk or not. Can you pray to Jinn? Can you pray to prophets? Like, two individuals who's supposed to be expert in Islam, so that they are expert, they are inviting others into Islam. They are debating what is dua.
And to my knowledge, Adnan is a cradle Muslim, right? He was born Muslim. He was never an Ahmadiyya, was he?
No.
I don't know. I know he addresses them a lot, so sometimes I wonder if he had a background with them. But anyways, so here you've got these guys that have been steeped in Islam since their birth, and they're both saying the other is fundamentally wrong. And Adnan is even saying what logically entails that Daniel is not a Muslim, because it's not only the act that he's calling shirk, which for Adnan just means shirk akbar. It's not like there's not this lesser thing involved here. It's what puts you outside of Islam. It's not just shirk akbar to do the act, but not to condemn it as shirk akbar. So Adnan thinks Daniel's not a Muslim. That's got to be pretty frightening for all those Muslims that converted last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Because if
Yeah.
these guys don't got it down,
What about others?
what about them? Yeah.
Same quote again.
Okay.
Can I? He never. Where did he say? He said the ignorant copy the mushrikeen. Where does he say that these mushriks? He says they're ignorant. He doesn't say these mushrikeen copy the mushriks of India. He says they are ignorant. He says they're committing shirk and they're committing kufr, which is what I agree with. And I also acknowledge that, despite you lying about me and saying that I don't deny it. I do consider it to be shirk in some of these cases. However, he does not say they are mushrikeen. He calls them ignorant in the very quote that you're reading. So that's it. You're finished. Like, don't read these quotes for a third time. We heard it the first time. He calls them
you didn't hear it.
In this clip, I am saying istighatha. That's the context of the clip.
Dua.
You have to understand what istighatha is.
Dua.
Dua linguistically means what? It means calling.
You're not saying
Dua.
linguistically. You're saying you're making dua to the person like you was before.
You claim that I have mixed up all of these issues. But if we go to the books of Bin Baz, if we go to the books of Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he says very
You misrepresent all of them. Like Shahada.
Sure. They say very clearly that calling to the prophets, calling to the Jinn, calling to the angels, calling to the saints, calling to the stones, calling to the mountains, all of this is shirk akbar. Now, I asked you a very simple question. I said, is it shirk akbar to call upon the angels and to call upon the jinn instead of Allah? Is this shirk akbar, yes or no?
Yeah.
And again, in this quote that you're reading from Shawi Waliullah, he also does not say that it's shirk akbar that takes you out of Islam. He says it's shirk, which I agree, 100%. We're agreed on that. A fatwa from Sheikh bin Baz. It is the question to the Sheikh. It has become widespread among some of the common people to say before sleeping, "Oh, angels of protection, wake me up at such and such time or at a specific time." Is this permissible? Sheikh bin Baz says, this is not permissible to call to the angels for protection. Rather, it falls under major shirk, shirk akbar. So this is clearly stating from Sheikh bin Baz in his fatwa, calling to angels and calling to jinn is major shirk that takes you outside of Islam. This is your position, presumably. But I'm asking you, is it shirk akbar? Do you agree with Sheikh bin Baz that calling to angels and calling to jinn takes one outside of Islam? Do you agree with that?
We will just address all of those. We're not moving on from dua until I get a tawbah from you, because I really care about you, Brother Daniel. I really care. Wait. I know where you're going. I know. I understood your question.
So did you pick that up? He wants Daniel to repent.
Yep. He wants Daniel's tawbah. He needs to. And probably, I mean, does he have to redo the shahada or?
Oh, I don't think I kept that part in, but there is a part in this video. Do you remember have you seen the clip couple of years back? Daniel Haqiqatjou and Uthman Farooq, they are in one of the conference somewhere in America, and then they are making Daniel Haqiqatjou to take shahada again. Wahhabi shahada.
Oh no, I never saw that. I mean, I think I saw. Oh no, I was what I am recalling is him with Kareem. Somebody was like Akida checking him.
Yeah, so they were Akida checking him, and then they made him to take the shahada.
Oh, but I didn't see Uthman. The part that I saw, I didn't see Uthman in it.
Okay, yeah, Uthman is in that table as well. So
I was driving probably.
Adnan Rashid goes through that brings up that video and makes fun of it, and then questions Haqiqatjou on that as well. Even though he took Wahhabi shahada, still they are thinking. Yeah, that's what he's calling. That's what that was the term. That was the term Adnan Rashid used.
You know, it's funny that he would have a term that distinguishes that shahada from something else, because you know, the submitters, the followers of Rashid Khalifa and Edip Yüksel, the ones who made their own translations of the Quran, they both did. Khalifa and Yüksel. I think Yüksel is his son-in-law. Somehow he's related to him. But Rashid Khalifa said that the shahada is only the first half of the traditional shahada. You're only supposed to say there's no God but Allah. The other part of it is not necessary to say that Muhammad is his messenger or his last messenger or something along those lines. And they Muslims hate the submitters for that reason and others. But Rashid Khalifa is right in terms of when you look at the Quran, it doesn't ever put those two statements together. There's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. So if you're arguing for Islam or Quranic precedent, it's decidedly on the side of the submitters, though other Muslims will obviously also want to include the hadith as authentic from Muhammad. But anyways, my point is now this seems to suggest there are three different shahadas on the table. You could either accept what Rashid Khalifa says, you only say the first half, or the standard Muslims who you say the whole thing, or the Wahhabi shahada. Now, does the Wahhabi shahada differ in wording, or does it just differ in your intention or something?
It's different wording. Like, okay, I've got the timeline.
This is great. This is great.
Wait,
listen. Three shahadas. I mean, three different shahadas.
Okay,
all
so
for the same religion. So one religion, three shahadas. Say not three.
Actually, when you look at the Islamic tradition, you get to see the different version of that as well. Okay, it's.
I've seen in the Hadith different confessions. Yeah. You know, some will even add on Jesus at the end.
Yeah. Were you inside with us when we were in mosque in Ohio? There was it in Ohio? Yeah, it was in Ohio. There was this lady took her shahada, where we got kicked out. This lady took her shahada, and then end of her shahada, like she said, Jesus is just a messenger of Allah. They edit those things in it.
Was that in the women's area or something?
So they took, like, shahada was taken in public. It was lady, but like she did it in the main room, and then after that she came to the ladies section.
I was not inside that area. I don't think I joined you until we went down into the underground area for the discussion with the sheikh.
Okay, no, I was talking about a year before that.
Oh, Elle's saying it wasn't the 2024 mosque.
Yeah, it was the year before that.
I don't remember.
Okay, anyway, so in that, like in her shahada, they edit Jesus in it. Okay, so bear with me, because apparently if the timeline is correct, previous were correct. So this is the Wahhabi shahada.
All right.
Means a lot of things. Ahlul Bid'ah. I don't use the term Ahlul Bid'ah to describe brothers I love and I work with. Okay, we have differences. I believe they have certain Bid'ah principles, certain Bid'ah ideas. That doesn't mean I don't work with them. I don't, share food with them. I don't love them because they are my Muslim brothers. Okay, but same attitude cannot be applied to the Khawarij and the Rafida. Okay, so I'm
wait, what did he say doesn't apply to the Khawarij and the Rafida?
Sorry, I was just waiting. He's talking about the like who are seen as Muslims. Are they Muslims or not? Asaris, Ataris, are they kind of part of Muslim Sunni Muslim community or not? And then he says Shias, like, I see them as Asaris, Maturidis, Ataris. I see them as brothers, but I don't see the Shias as my brothers.
Rafida for the last few weeks, and you are so harsh on the Salafis and the Atharis. It is beyond me. It is so baffling. It's so difficult to understand that you took the Wahhabi Shahada, which Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid And you couldn't get more Wahhabi than that, you know, having taken that shahada. I'm sure you took it
He
in your
said
heart.
Kareem.
And then you
Yeah.
seem to.
So in that video, he's taking shahada. You don't remember, so
No, I don't think I saw that part, but I do remember it was Kareem, and
yeah,
then
so in
I
that,
heard.
like, remember that guy was like saying, "Repeat after me." Do you remember
Okay.
that part?
So no, I'm saying I don't think I heard the part about the shahada, but I saw clips from that video because I remember Kareem was sitting in the center, Daniel was off to his right, and then there was some other guy off to the left in white clothing of some sort. So I just don't remember seeing Uthman there.
Maybe that other white guy was Uthman.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So in that, like, Karim was saying, "Okay, repeat after me, brother," and then they were making him to repeat after him.
That's funny. I got to go watch that. That'd be like somebody persuading you to, you know, pray with them and
Yeah,
ask,
or
you know, ask to be saved or something.
Yeah.
One is completely apostatized from that shahada. Mark my words, not Islam, from the Wahhabiyya, from, you know, you took the shahada al-Wahhabiyya and you apostatized from it. You went against it completely, 180-degree turn within few months. I don't know what happened to you. You're so soft on the Rafida, and you're trying to, you know, I mean, you can say you're not. You can say you're not, but you
Well,
are.
I said at the time when I gave that shahada, I also said I was a fanboy of Deoband. That's the problem that they had, actually, because at that time when I took,
But then
you're saying that I changed. No, during that same shahada meeting, quote unquote, I was saying that I'm a fanboy of Deoband, and Deobandis are what Ash'aris and Maturidis. No. I did when I gave that was the same meeting. That was the same jalsa, the same majlis where I was making the shahada. I also was saying that I'm a fanboy of Deoband.
Fine.
That's why
fine.
my aqidah was not
the shahada,
pure. It was not pure enough. That was not pure enough, right?
Can I play that video? I mean, can I look? Let's play that video very quickly. I want people to watch what we're talking about. Can we get that video up, please, and see what Brother Daniel is doing and what shahada is?
Yeah, let's see it.
Play.
So they're gonna play the video, okay? But just pick up something. He's speaking with his Muslim brother, okay? The way they're engaging with one another, I find it's just like all very, very, very disturbing. But yeah, they're gonna play. And then one of the things Adnan Rashid did, he came to do this live stream with what is it called? Like, he's got team around him. They're just bringing up Daniel's tweets, Daniel's clips. Like, he came in the intention, like, okay, I'm gonna pin you down. It is the very same thing like when Mohammed Hijab went to interview Yasir Qadhi. He already had the questions, what he was gonna say. And then he just was asking those questions. And then that's what Adnan Rashid is doing to Haqiqatjou. I felt sad for him though.
Very quickly.
I want the full video where I also say in that same majlis.
No problem. You will have the chance to explain and describe the context. No problem.
Let's add this. I haven't seen this. Let's
bring the video and see what Brother Daniel said in that shahada. I'm saying this is.
Is this the one you are talking about?
I think so, but I need to see a wider angle to see if there's another guy on the left. So that, I mean, no, I don't mean you. I mean, maybe the video will expand.
Yeah.
Like, there was somebody questioning him.
Yeah, Uthman. That was Uthman.
Oh, it was Uthman. Okay.
I have to re-enter.
So can you say after me?
Not
Come on.
funny, actually.
Say after me. Say after me.
I have to re-enter.
Repeat after me, please. I am Daniel Haqiqatjou.
I am Daniel Haqiqatjou.
Follow the Quran and Sunnah.
Follow the Quran and Sunnah, inshallah.
Based on the understanding of the first three great generations of Muslims.
Based on the understanding of the first three generations of Muslims.
And I don't call people to rebel against the ruler.
And I don't call for people to rebel against the ruler.
And I don't make blanket takfir of anybody.
And I don't make
and
blanket
I actually
takfir.
say leave this to the ulama.
I don't make blanket takfir of anyone. I say leave this to the ulama.
And if I've done this in the past, I repent.
And if I've done that in the past, I repent to Allah.
Okay.
That's the that's the
like-
Wahhabi shahada, huh?
So, brother,
Yeah,
So,
so
Brother
that's
Daniel,
the Wahhabi
eh,
shahada. And then, yeah,
Wait, why not? Where's the no God but Allah, Muhammad is his messenger? Didn't even make it in.
not in this one.
No Tawhid, no seal of the prophets, none of that.
Not in this one. Not in this one.
Imagine the, you need to confess to be a Christian, and it doesn't include Jesus.
Not only that, like when you confess to be something or enter into something, there is an expectation that it will be free will. When someone says like, I want to become Christian, you say, I would say like, oh, why do you want to become Christian? And then you talk about it, and then you lead them from there. But in this occasion, like they're forcing him, like he's got all this crowd, and then he addressed it as majlis, like kind of formal judgment place, and then they repeat after me. It's like very like we are imagine like we are sitting with atheists, and then okay, repeat after me. I believe Jesus is the Son of God, and then person, okay, I believe Jesus is the Son of God.
Poor guys. Now notice, by the way, too, that just how serious this is besides from an eternal perspective. Obviously, Adnan is saying that Daniel is not a Muslim by virtue of all this, though he still curiously keeps calling him brother and Aki and all that. But notice he's saying, you said the Wahhabi shahada. Was he calling it the Wahhabi shahada, or did he say Salafi?
No, he's saying Wahhabi shahada.
He says Wahhabi, huh? Okay, that's nice. Usually they don't like that label, but okay. So, but now he's saying he said it and he committed apostasy from it.
Apostasy, not from Islam, but from Wahhabi.
But isn't Adnan saying that is Islam? I mean, even from Islam though, because
no, Adnan is making distinction. It is not from Islam. It is from that Wahhabi shahada you committed. You become apostate.
Yeah, but
I don't know how it works, but that's what he's saying.
But it seems to me like that's what Adnan thinks is the pinnacle of accurate Islamic thought. So if he fell from that, he fell from a greater height than if he just fell from an Athari, or excuse me, an Ashari or a Maturidi position. Anyways, I think it's clear even prior to this that he's saying Daniel is guilty of major shirk because he doesn't know what Tawhid is.
Yeah.
So he's an apostate on this understanding, not just from Wahhabism.
Well, he didn't verbalize that part, but he verbalized from Wahhabism, yeah.
Is one of the modalities of istaghatha, which is dua, and we know dua is ibadah. It's very simple, Brother Daniel, for you to say now that yes, I agree, dua is ibadah, because you cannot disagree. The Prophet said it is ibadah, and ibadah is only for Allah. And if it's only for Allah, then ibadah to anyone else is major shirk that takes you out of Islam, because this is what iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in means, and this is what amazingly Shah Waliullah also uses this ayah of the Quran in his book Hujjatullah al-Baligha, okay, in his famous magnum opus, okay, called Hujjatullah al-Baligha. In this book, he also, again, I quote, this concept, shirk, has various embodiments and forms, and the divine law only discusses embodiments and forms of it which the people practice with the intention of shirk, so that they become anticipated sources of shirk and customarily inseparable from it. This is similar to the practice of the divine law in establishing the causes that thank you. Sorry.
Is he calling upon a jinn?
Very kind of
what is he doing?
Yeah, they do call upon jinns.
I don't see who he's talking to, so it could be a jinn.
No, I think one of his family members just brought him coffee.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
Don't think this is the smiling to Jannah guy. No, it was, I think, family members brought him the. Okay, I'm just gonna move to the shorter clip.
Saying that calling upon jinns, angels, and the dead is all shirk akbar. It takes you out of Islam.
But you're accusing me of being ignorant. You're saying I'm mixing things together, but in this fatwa, he has them all together.
You don't understand what Sheikh bin Baz is talking about. We will come to that. I know what Sheikh bin Baz is talking about. I'm aware of this fatwa. I know. Okay. Before we get to that, brother, please, Daniel, this is getting embarrassing. This is getting embarrassing. Please, listen, Daniel. Look. We are brothers, brother Daniel.
We are brothers.
Fear. This is my fear. Again, I can be wrong. I sincerely fear lack of sincerity on your part. I'm not saying you are a munafiq, you are a liar. I'm not saying that. But I fear, this is my fear, that out of your ego, you don't want to hurt your crowd. You don't want to look bad. You don't look bad.
You want to mischaracterize my position. You want to claim that I think, it's fine to do istighatha. It's fine to make dua to the Prophet. This Daniel thinks that this is okay. This is what you keep emphasizing.
No.
Audience can see. I completely reject. I completely reject.
I have acknowledged.
Then why did you say that my Tawhid is in question? If you don't understand Tawhid. This is your accusation against me. So let me finish.
Let me quickly. You are saying, so then our positions are completely opposed. You say, yes, it is known with certainty that going to the grave of the Prophet and asking him directly to healing is shirk akbar. Okay? Like the Trinity or praying to an idol. I say no. It might not even be shirk at all. So Brother Daniel, wait, let me finish. You are saying here, and certainly not shirk like the Trinity. Let's debate it. Okay. So point is, you're saying it might not even be shirk at all. This is confusion of the highest grade about Tawheed. Wallahi, this is lack of certainty.
Let me explain it.
Wait, you will explain. Let me finish. Let me do my speech first and then you can come and explain it. This statement in itself shows us you are not clear on Tawheed and shirk, because at one point you're saying it's shirk, but it's not shirk al-akbar. Okay? And I don't even know if it's 100% shirk. In this tweet, you're saying it might not even be shirk. You know, when you use the word might, this is doubt. You're not certain. You're not clear. So when you say it might not even be shirk at all. Allahu Akbar. Praying to someone other than Allah, calling upon them other than Allah for healing. Again, for healing. Yeah, you're saying it might not be shirk at all. What more do you need? What more do you need to know that you are confused about Tawheed and shirk? You are confused about basic things in Islam, Brother Daniel. This is why you have to abstain from talking about these topics publicly, because you are confusing a lot of people out there who follow you, who respect you, who love you, and they are getting confused because you are confused. And you don't seem to understand how much influence you have. You have a lot of influence.
If you want to give us substantive points, then feel free to speak as much as you want. But if you want to engage in ad hominem and tell me I'm confused and ignorant, just cut it short. We've already heard you say it many times, the same thing. We don't need that kind of speech over and over again.
Explain this to me. Explain this to me.
Let me finish, please. Brother, this is very annoying for me and the audience, because you interrupt every single sentence. All kinds of questions that arise. Is it worship to go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like worshiping Lat and Uzza, or Jesus as God? Is it the same thing to go to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and directly ask for healing or directly ask for these things? Is it the same as worshiping the Trinity or praying to an idol? Is it the same exact thing? The quote that you read multiple times from Shah Waliullah says that yes, this is shirk, but it is not known with necessity. It is not ma'loom min ad-din bid-darura. I mean, it's serious when you say that someone's ignorant of Tawheed. To accuse that of a Muslim, that's a very serious.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Very serious. Okay, so let me show you. Let me read this quote. Can you see it? It says, anyone who goes to the town, we read this, indeed he has committed a sin more grievous than murder and adultery. So notice first, he says it's a sin. Other places he says it's shirk, okay, or it's kufr. But here he says it's a sin. His likeness is not, but like those who worship the creation, like those who call on Lat and Uzza.
Have
So
you
no,
noticed, Atun, if you had to guess, just think of this like going into a candy shop and you're looking at a jar full of jelly beans, and they tell you if you can guess how many jelly beans are in there, then you win $100 or something. If you had to guess, how many different people in quotes do you think they've provided up to this point?
Uh,
I mean, just
fourth. I think this is the fourth.
oh, I mean, but they've made reference to all sorts of names, right?
Yeah, so they reference 4 people, and then they are going through one of the guys, like what he actually said, same quotations from same, a couple of different quotations focusing on the one quotation from the same guy.
Yeah, but they've also mentioned a bunch of names, right? Like Ibn Taymiyyah, Ahmed bin Hanbal, Sheikh so-and-so, Sheikh this, Sheikh that. How many times have they quoted Allah at this stage?
You are just being racist right now. It is not racism, it is Islamophobe.
So
you are one of them right now.
It's very good how these guys are illustrating the shirk that's inherent in their religion. Their whole religion is a religion of shirk. Muhammad denounced Christians for allegedly following their rabbis and their priests or their monks because they agreed with things that their teachers taught. And his claim was that they were believing them over the word of God. And that could be true in some cases. But it's very much true of the religion of Islam. The whole religion is characterized by this sort of thing. Here's 2 guys going back and forth accusing the other of shirk, and they don't realize that they're both engaging in something that their own prophet called shirk.
Well, I think right now you are making a case that one of the reasons we might think Muhammad is the prophet because he's prophesizing what his followers are going to do, and that this is Surah 9:30-31, and this is what his followers are doing now, and that prophecy is being fulfilled.
Yeah, except of course he was saying this is what people before had done.
Yeah.
Here he's not making a prediction, although elsewhere in the hadith there are statements that are put back into his mouth saying that his ummah was going to divide and all this sort of thing. But, that's one of the big takeaways from this is not only that Tawhid is not simple, even cradle Muslims can't agree on what it is and can quote scholars on both sides, and even their scholars aren't any clearer than Allah apparently, because neither Daniel nor Adnan agree with what the other person is quoting, what it actually means. But it also strikes at the root of the constant claim that Muslims make that their religion is uniform. I mean, how vacuous is it, and should it be to all Christians every time they hear it now that Islam's the fastest growing religion or that it's as big as it is? It's all meaningless because these guys are wildly divided. These are like different religions, according to Adnan. Daniel Haqiqatjou, yeah, Daniel's outside of the religion. But if Daniel's outside of it, then so are all the alleged scholars that he cited and all the people that agree with him. And then you've got Adnan and those he represents on the other side. And those aren't even the only divisions, obviously. This is just, a symptom of all that. Islam is a wildly divided thing.
Well, so much for unity. So much for unity.
We read, this is the 3rd time we're reading it. However, we do not state explicitly.
So 3rd time they are reading it, they still are not agree what it has been trying to say.
Allah's not clear enough. Now they've gone to the scholars, and the scholars aren't clear enough.
That he has disbelieved due to the absence of a text from the Sharia, from the lawgiver in this matter. There is no explicit text, so we cannot say with certainty that he is a kafir mushrik. You, however, want to say he is a kafir mushrik. That's your fatwa. That's your hukm for the person who goes to the grave. And I'm saying that, no, there is some uncertainty because there's no explicit text. There is no explicit text from Allah in the Quran and Hadith that says this is shirk that takes you outside of Islam. Is it shirk? Yes. 100,000 times. Is it shirk? Yes. But is it known with certainty? Without a doubt. Knowing with certainty means there's no doubt. That means that there could be a chance that on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah reveals that this is not shirk. Okay? That was our ijtihad, that it is shirk. But it's ijtihad. Ijtihad is dhanni. It's not qat'i. Why? Because there's not a qat'i text from the Quran and Sunnah that says this. This is what Shah Waliullah is explicating and bringing the explanation to people through this text. And the other text that you read is a question of certainty. Can we say that this person has left Islam? And we cannot say that because there is no explicit text. Now, if someone comes and worships Jesus, there is an explicit text from the Quran that this is shirk akbar and that these are kuffar. When it comes to worshiping Lat and Uzza, there is an explicit text. If you come and worship an idol and you don't say the shahada, you believe that there's other gods with Allah, that you have committed shirk akbar and you're outside of Islam. There are explicit texts that speak to that matter, but there's no explicit text from the Quran and Sunnah that addresses the issue of someone who believes in Allah, says the shahada, is a Muslim, he prays and fasts, but he also goes to a grave and he makes this kind of request from the grave or the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. There is no explicit nas, there are no nusus that specifically discuss that in an explicit way. Therefore, Shah Waliullah says, we do not takfir or say that this person has left the fold of Islam because he has committed shirk akbar, because there's no explicit text on the matter. This is what he means. So when I say that it's not known with certainty and that it could, that's what it means. That's what it means, that it's shirk, but it's not known with certainty. I've said this so many times. And unfortunately, people who don't understand the basic usul within this topic, and they don't know what other ulama have said throughout Islamic history. They don't know about Imam Ahmad calling to angels. They don't know about Ibn Taymiyyah saying it's permissible to call on Jinn. They say Daniel is a mushrik, or Daniel is a shirk apologist, or Daniel doesn't know Tawhid, as you just said multiple times. But this is because they suffer from ignorance. They suffer from an ignorance of what the nusus actually say and usul. Because if you say, one of the consequences of saying that this is shirk akbar means that you have done takfir of all of the Sunni ulama in history who have said that there is not ijma on whether this is shirk akbar. So someone like Suyuti is a kafir mushrik because he says that this is not shirk akbar. Jalaluddin Suyuti is worse than Daniel.
Oh, now Suyuti and Al-Jalalain are in the mix too.
Yeah. But still, Allah is not on the list.
So when you go to church, Hatun, how often would you say the time is spent between you and other brothers and sisters debating whether or not the Trinity is true, or whether or not Mary's a member of the Trinity? How about that? Does that issue ever come up? Is there any kind of doubt like that in Christian churches?
Not I recall.
I mean, I've never
I
in
went
all
to church once when I told them I was Protestant. I had to go to Catholic church because like people were just like hunting me down. I couldn't go to a Protestant church. And then in that, like I told them I'm Protestant. We did have a quick conversation on like different doctrinals, but on Sunday regular basis in my fellowship, no, not at all.
Yeah. And even in that context, I mean, they wouldn't say, at least verbally, that Mary is a member of the Godhead or anything. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm saying these guys are all, they claim that Islam is one. We're frank in saying there are other groups that are sectarian or apostate or something like that, but they claim Islam is one, Tawhid is simple, it's agreed upon by all the scholars and so on and so forth. But then they have these knockdown, drag out debates that apparently go far beyond these two, because if you watch, like I said, I didn't see this particular one, but if you notice, because this stuff pops up in my news feed, when I'm driving along, I hate downtime. I don't like wasting time. I can't read while I'm driving, so I'll listen to something, and I'll listen to this video or that video, and I've heard all these names being thrown around. Like a lot of the names all over YouTube on the Muslim scene, the Dawah scene, are all standing somewhere on this issue. You know, they're either for or against Daniel. So I've heard Daniel make reference to, he keeps calling somebody Rabbi Ferris, who's obviously a Muslim. I don't know who that is. He's obviously a Muslim, and
he's the guy who helps Andrew Tate to live his life as a Muslim.
Okay, so but he's calling him Rabbi as sort of a backhanded slap, right?
Yeah.
So Rabbi Ferris, the Muslim, he mentions Wajdi Akari. Abu Musab Wajdi Akari is the Islamic guy over in Jeddah. He lives in Jeddah. Anyways, Yasser Qadi's name's in the mix. Jake, the Muslim metaphysician's name is in the mix. All these different people that we see all the time pretending that the Dawah is simple. They're all lining up on different sides here.
Yep. Like I recently edited a short video and I put it up that Faris guy is telling the world that Uthman Farooq shouldn't be doing Dawah because he can't even read Arabic.
So see, now I don't even, this is why it all gets confusing to me, because like people I think I had a clear fix on, like where they're at, because people don't always come out and say, I mean, I don't even like it when I pick up a book as a Christian reading other Christian books. I kind of like to know where the person's general back, you know, there are shades of difference within Christianity, and so sometimes it's helpful to know exactly where people are coming from, even if I'm not talking about sectarian groups. I'm just talking about different Christian, denominations. And I don't like it when people don't say, where they're coming from. It's nice to know as you're reading the book what, the slant is. And, so a lot of these Muslims don't come right out and tell you where they're at on certain things. And so, you listen closely to a lot of these guys trying to figure it out, and you think you get it down, and then suddenly you find out that, like Uthman, he seems quite obviously to be a Salafi bent, but then you're watching these other people who are Salafis doing the whole Aqidah check on him because they doubt his, whether he's truly Salafiyah or not.
Yeah.
And then you've got some of them saying he's not,
yeah.
right? And Shamsi, look at Shamsi. I mean, that guy, I don't think he thinks anybody's a Salafi except him and a handful of people. I don't know.
Well, it shows us how much they need of Jesus as a Christian. That's something we can do. Sit down and then make sure we pray for them so they can repent and turn to Lord Jesus Christ. But it also helps us to see how there are the times they come together, work together to attack Lord Jesus Christ, or have debates and discussion with Christians as a team up, but actually behind the doors, lights on the public, they fight with one another, and then they dig into the things that like brings serious questions regarding where do they stand on very basics of Islam.
So somebody in the chat asked what Aqidah check means. So quickly, so the word Aqidah, you might be familiar with in a Christian context. It's a way that we often refer to the binding of Isaac. When Isaac was bound by his father on the altar in preparation for his sacrifice, the word for binding there is the term Aqidah. In Islam, the term Aqidah, the way they're using it is derived from this notion of binding. It refers to sound theology. So binding truth, binding doctrine would be one way of expressing it. So Aqidah in Islam refers to their theology about Allah, what it means to say he's one in his essence, attributes, works, and so forth. And to Aqidah check somebody then means to evaluate their Aqidah. So if somebody's a Muslim and they encounter another Muslim, to Aqidah check them would be like asking them questions. It reminds me of two gang members. This would be foreign to you, Hatun, but on the streets of America when I grew up, some of them, people would ask people, where are you from? And that wasn't a question about what your country of origin was. They were asking what gang you're part of. Where are you from? And because they want to know what your allegiance is. So Aqidah checking is like that. You're asking them what gang of Muslims they belong to. Are they Salafi? And if they say they're Salafi, do they check all the right boxes? Do you say this, this, and this? Do you reject this, this, and this? And some Muslims really, really hate this sort of thing. Like Daniel. I've seen Daniel criticize this sort of thing. He doesn't like this practice among Muslims where they are constantly inspecting other Muslims to see if they're genuinely Muslim.
Well, they want to know which clan you are belong to.
Yeah.
Quick question on the gangs. Were you part of it, or you just engage with them?
So I grew up in Southern California. I was becoming a teenager in the late 80s and early 90s, and I got into a lot of trouble. This was all before I became a Christian. So that was my background. I mean, just a lot of, and back in, not that gangs are not still a real reality in California, but back in those days, that was, to me, it was sort of like the pinnacle of a lot of that. That's when it was all at a fever pitch. In certain areas, at least.
Do you need to have a tattoo or something to show that you belong to that gang?
No, you don't need a tattoo, but it's common. People would get tattoos, and some of them, like now, it's even more, like in your face, where you'll get people putting it on their forehead or somewhere on their face or on their neck. But typically, people will get things on like their shoulder, their arm, or their back or something like that.
The reason I ask is someone sent me a clip of one of the Muslim missionary. He's like titled as he's going back to his gang to preach Islam, invite them into Islam. And then person is saying he can't be part of, apparently like in the past, this guy, before he became a Muslim, he was member of that gang. And then he's now going back to invite them into Islam. The person who sent me the message was saying, this Muslim cannot be member of gang. He's lying about his past, because if he was member of the gang, he must have a tattoo, and he doesn't have any tattoo. So he's just lying.
Well, there may be a gang that says you have to have a tattoo. I don't know, it's very common for gang members to have tattoos, especially Hispanic gangs, but I've never heard of it being a requirement. But there's always, there's differences. A gang may say you need this is a requirement. But I've never, and it would be odd though for somebody to be in certain gangs and just not have one, because it's just part of the lifestyle.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have many friends who has tattoos. I know a few people, but okay, let's continue with this.
He says that, no, this is not shirk. Istighatha to the Prophet ﷺ is not shirk. This is something permissible.
Okay, got to stop it and then put it again, because it is making funny things.
Applying a consistent standard, and you are attacking me based on a misinterpretation. You are misinterpreting my words, and you are having a kind of su'a dhann. You even question my intentions and my sincerity. You say, I don't know if you're sincere, Daniel, but you are misinterpreting my words. When I explain the meaning of what I'm saying and the background to what I'm saying, and I bring quotes from Shah Wali Allah, then you should be humble enough to say, oh, Daniel, I misunderstood what you're saying, and now it's clear for me. Thank you. Or you bring an objection to what I said. You don't bring another quote from Shah Wali Allah that, oh, he says it's shirk. Yeah, I know he says it's shirk.
Ibn Aqil al-Hanbali died 513 Hijri, 513 after Hijrah. He states, and I will read the English first, and if you want me to read the Arabic, I can do that. When the ignoramus rabble found religious duties demanding, they left the dictates of the Sharia regarding worship for their own innovative constructions. This became easy for them since it was what they themselves invented. As far as I'm concerned, they are kuffar. وَهُمْ عِنْدِي كُفَّارٌ بِهَذِهِ الْأَوْضَاعِ. This is what he's saying. Okay? Because of these innovations, an example of this is the glorification and honoring of graves in ways and manners prohibited by Sharia, by setting up torches on graves, kissing and perfuming them. They also ask the dead to meet their needs and write on such graves, reading, "Oh my master, do such and such for me." They take the earth from graves for blessing, pour perfumes on it, and travel to such graves. They tie up pieces of clothing on trees in imitation of those who worship Allah and Al-Uzza. Allahu Akbar.
All that sounds like Muhammad.
Here he's telling us explicitly.
Say it again.
All that sounds like Muhammad and his followers, though.
Yeah, but he's using he's not going to Muhammad.
He's using a different word.
Yeah.
He's not called it the same thing. But remember, Muhammad, right, kissing the black stone,
Yep.
right? And then the people constantly gathering his water for ablution. They would take the water that he cleaned himself with, and they would take it and lather it all over themselves. Even the water that was contaminated by him sucking it up his nose and blowing it out the other nostril. All this stuff they did towards Muhammad. If his hair fell, they'd catch it. The lady that used to catch his sweat and bottle it up for perfume. I mean,
there's a tradition talks about how his sweat is going to be the fragment of paradise.
Oh gosh,
you don't want to go there.
Yeah, we've got fans in bathrooms for stuff like that because people don't like that sort of stuff.
That to me they are kuffar, these people, for doing what they're doing. Okay, you will not find among such individuals one who can research an issue of zakah to such an extent that he will provide an appropriate ruling on that which is binding on him. But you see them condemning and castigating anyone who does not venerate the shrine of Al-Kaf or does not rub himself with the red brick dust of the Al-Malmusa mosque on Wednesdays. So this is Ibn Aqil al-Hanbali, okay, who died in 513 AH. He's saying, "Wahum indi kuffar bihadhi al-awda'." Okay, and he goes on to explain, وَخِطَابُ الْمَوْتَى بِالْحَوَائِجِ. Okay, that they are actually asking the dead to remove their needs. Okay, so this is very clear. Yeah, Imam, if you want to go more and more, I have an entire long list of ulama who are saying the same thing. Imam Shahabuddin
So he's looking back almost 500 years after death of Muhammad. 500 years after death of Muhammad. And then coming up with sources and then saying, well, this guy is disagreeing with this guy is disagreeing with this. They can't go back to Muhammad because their Tawhid is so clear and simple. Muhammad forgot to mention very basics.
Yeah, and did the opposite. Kiss the black stone.
Yeah.
Burden, before you read, you can read.
I'm not going to read them. I'm not going to read all of them. They're saying the same thing. Imam Abu Shama al-Maqdisi, al-Shafi'i, Imam Shahabuddin al-Qarafi al-Maliki. Okay,
see, I've got
people
lots
can
of
Google
names.
and find Shaykh
I've got
al-Islam
lots of
al-Taymiyyah.
names I can
Okay,
give it to you.
he's saying the same thing.
No, the burden is for you to show that there is no other major scholar in history who has the same position as I do. Because you say that I have misunderstood Tawhid because I say that this is not Shirk Akbar.
Show me one scholar. So I'm going to ask you a question now. Show me one scholar in the entire history of Islam who said making dua to other than Allah is not shirk that takes you out of Islam. One, go on. I'm going to relax.
I read Shah Wali Allah Dahlawi. I'll read you another one.
No.
I'll read you another one.
No.
Let me, see,
Yeah,
you don't
go
let me
on.
talk.
Dua.
No, let me talk.
The word dua.
Let me-
I want dua. Yeah.
You just read quotes that talk about calling and making requests. The
Yes.
quote that you just read from
Yes.
Ibn Aqil says
Yes.
calling and make requests. He doesn't
Yes.
say dua only worshiping. That's not the argument that Ibn Aqil made in the quote that you just read.
Because they are using the example of Lat and Uzza. Because Shah Waliullah used the same example to describe the shirk of these people, that they are like the ones who worship Lat and Uzza. You have the audacity to claim that Shah Waliullah did not believe they are mushrikeen because they said we cannot make takfir. What Shah
I said
Waliullah is
prove.
saying,
I
what
said
Shah Waliullah is
prove.
saying that you cannot.
I said prove. Prove where he said that they're mushrikeen, and you did not prove. You did not. You did not provide a quote for that. Now let me
people
read
decide.
you another quote.
Yeah.
Let me read another quote.
Yeah.
Alusi, the great Iraqi faqih in Ruh al-Ma'ani, says so much of people increased in calling their saints, whether dead or alive, calling, and others besides Allah. Examples like, "Oh, my master so-and-so, save me." This is not permissible tawassul in any sense. It is unbecoming for a Muslim to utter such statements or even get close to it. Some scholars have deemed it shirk. Some scholars have deemed it shirk. And even if it is not shirk, it is close to it. I do not know of anyone who makes these statements except that he believes that the person he calls, whether alive, but absent or dead and hidden, knows the unseen, can hear the calls, is inherently capable of or within the support of others, bringing good and preventing evil. If this were not the case, that he has this belief, he would definitely not call him or open his mouth. This is definitely a great trial from your Lord. One must be firm in avoiding it and not requesting such except from Allah. So he says, some scholars have deemed it shirk, and even if it is not shirk. So are you going to accuse Al-Alusi of being a mushrik or someone who's a shirk apologist who doesn't understand Tawhid? Because exactly like Dahlawi, exactly like Shah Wali Allah, he says that this is shirk, this is haram, this is a grave matter, this is terrible to call on the saints. However, we do not do takfir. We do not say that this is a kafir who does this. Shah Wali Allah has that position. Al-Alusi has that position. I share that position. But you want to say that this is kufr or this is a lack of understanding of Tawheed. Fine. Accuse Shah Wali Allah, accuse Al-Alusi, the quote that I just read you. Be consistent. Don't just say Daniel.
Allama Alusi rahmatullahi alayh, he uses the term tawassul. I do not know anyone who declares takfir of the one who makes tawassul through the awliya. Tawassul is a different matter to istighatha, okay, and dua. You are deliberately conflating the two issues. Again, because I say deliberately because I've made it very clear. It's been 3 hours now. I've made it very clear that tawassul, okay, is different to istighatha. Istighatha has modalities. Not every type of istighatha is shirk al-akbar. Okay, it's a very technical discussion. I'm specifically talking
so it's
about.
Not always shirk. It's not always shirk akbar.
No, it depends how you're making.
Oh, it depends.
Oh,
he had to wait for 3 hours to say that. Oof.
Depends how. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Look,
so there are some kinds of istighatha that are not shirk.
Are you telling me you don't understand? Someone.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. There are some types of istighatha that are not shirk akbar. Is that what you're saying?
No. People use the word tawassul and istighatha interchangeably. Okay. In many writings, you will see them using, the ulama are using these two words interchangeably. It is the detail of the action that requires a hukam. The hukam is given upon the detail.
It's
okay,
dua.
General,
it's dua.
Wait.
It's dua. Isn't dua shirk?
No.
Dua other than Allah shirk? What detail?
Why
are you now talking about details?
Let me. I'll tell you why. Okay. They want to.
No, I want to know. Like, we shouldn't get past istighatha to jinn and angels. Can you call upon the jinn and angels for guidance, for help, Can you call on them? Yes or no? I mean,
First of all,
you're the
first of
Tawhid.
all-
You're so strong on Tawhid, mashallah, and I'm so ignorant.
Allahu Akbar.
So it should be a yes or no answer. I think it's wrong. It's haram. You should not make dua to angels and shirk, and it might even be shirk. That's my position. Do you agree that it is shirk akbar?
You are confused.
I want you to be consistent. Is it shirk akbar to call on the angels or jinn instead of calling to Allah? Yes or no?
Okay. My Tawheed is not in question because I'm not confused. Everyone can see. For the last 2 hours, I haven't been confused about
Oh,
any of
Nikita, check me. I'm checking you. Isn't he on Daniel's channel?
He's not. Yeah, he's on Daniel's channel, and then like it's like you are coming to my channel, and then I'm saying, okay, can I please speak? Oh, can I please ask questions? Because you came with your questions, you came with your own agenda, and you are not kind of open up the discussion why I invited you to. So like,
well, it's like a criminal going into a courtroom and pretending that he's the judge. I just mean that, you know, in this scenario, he's on Daniel's channel and he's saying, Maya, you can't question me, I'm questioning you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not very good etiquette.
Let people take what they want from it. You
Exactly.
clearly
Yes or no?
confused. You're still confused. Coming to jinns and angels very quickly. I will say, okay, it depends again. It depends what you're doing. Because angels and jinns are not absent. They are not absent. The jinns are present. The angels are present. We know Allah sends down angels to do certain jobs.
But see, I mean, this goes back to the point I was making before. Since he's saying you can call out to them because they're present, so it's not necessarily involving the assumption that these have attributes that belong exclusively to God, because they are present. We're visible to them according to the logic that he's using, but they're not visible to us, generally speaking. So they don't know what jinn are present. They don't know what spiritual beings are present, in which case it could just as well be evil jinn as good jinn. So without knowing specifically who's there, right, how's it not shirk, or how's it not a problem that they're calling out to these spiritual beings? You know, they don't know if it's the idea that they know they're angels in the world doing something at some time doesn't mean they know which angel, right? They don't know whether it's Angel Tom or Angel Fred, or I guess whatever the Abdul Angel. I don't know what angel names are. I know they got Jabril and so forth, but that's a ripoff, right? They stole Gabriel from us. But you know, I mean, just the point is, like, if they're just calling out generically to some spiritual being that's there, it might just as well be an evil one as a good one.
So you pointed out something interesting earlier. It's not okay to call upon Jesus as a prophet, but it is okay to call upon genies, and you don't even know if they will be the one who hear the genie is going to be good genie or bad genie.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why Tawhid is so simple.
And besides that, I mean, elsewhere in the Islamic sources, it does speak against certain occultic practices like that. And again, whenever I say the Islamic sources say something, I never want to be assumed to be saying they don't also say something contrary to that, because most often they do. You can almost always find contrary opinions in the Islamic sources. So I'm just pointing out that there are some sources that condemn interaction with the dead or spirits and so forth. And so, I mean, it looks wildly problematic just on the surface, without even digging down deep, that on the one hand, Adnan wants to condemn as shirk dua But then now he's making excuses for why you can address angels and jinn.
Yeah.
Because that too is considered a violation of Tawhid, even if for only for other reasons. Yeah, pretty wild stuff.
Simple Tawhid. We can't do much about it.
So it depends what you are asking for and how you are asking. Okay, for example. Okay, so it's shirk, for example, to believe that angels have a power of their own, that they can heal you. For example, if you ask an angel, to heal your illness, your leprosy, the shirk akbar, it takes you out, because only Allah can do that. But if Allah has bestowed a duty upon an angel to do for you, okay, and it's clear from Sharia, then asking for those specific things that Allah allows, okay, then it's not shirk, okay. So it's not as black and white as you claim it is, because it doesn't claim you, Brother Daniel.
So
These guys don't even think through their own stuff. He's making the distinction between the independent ability to do something or a derived ability. So now the excuse is you can call upon certain beings to do something, provided you recognize their ability to do so comes from Allah. If you're ascribing to them the independent ability to do this apart from Allah, then that's wrong, right? But that's no different than what the pagans would have said in the past, like I pointed out before. The pagans around Muhammad didn't deny that Muhammad or that Allah was the high God and the other gods are subordinate to him and so forth. They didn't have independent power and rule. So it's just reintroducing the old paganism through the back door. But the other thing is this, though, like, how does he know what this jinn has been allowed to grant or not? He doesn't even know what jinn it is that's present. You see what I'm saying? So how does he know whether he's appealing to, he says, as long as this has been granted to that being by Allah, then it's permissible for you to appeal to them to do this. But how does he know what Bob the jinn has been given the right to do by Allah?
Would you also have a problem that why on earth, creator of universe, who is all powerful, almighty, all that blah blah thing, Allah, is giving his powers or sharing his powers with jinns? Because remember, you've got like this Quranic verse, Allah made hell for jinn and devil and the companions.
Mm-hmm.
So jinn and mankind. So like they're already pre-planned to spend eternity in hell. Yet Adnan is making a case, if Allah granted them to be capable to bring rain, be capable to steal things from your kitchen or from your house, then I will pray to them and ask them to bring those things back or bring the rain.
Yeah, and remember, according to the standard narrative of what Tawhid is,
which has holes in it.
Right. Allah is one in his essence, his attributes, and his works. So you can't ascribe the divine essence to anything other than Allah, or the attributes distinctive to him to his creatures, or the distinctive works that he does. But now Adnan is saying that as long as you recognize their ability is from Allah, it's not the same thing. Understand that the distinction here is not that beings have a certain ability, that God created things with abilities. I can lift up my phone right here or something like that. They're talking about divine actions and the attributes, or at least a sufficient portion of those attributes to perform those divine actions. That's what they're talking about here. And they're saying Allah can confer that on some people. But that's the very thing that they're calling shirk when other people do this.
Yeah.
Right. We're guilty of shirk, even though as a Christian, as Christians, we don't believe that Jesus is a separate being from the Father. He's a distinct person, not a separate being. But they accuse us of believing that God enabled Jesus to, or we're assigning to Jesus attributes of God, right? We're associating him with God and his attributes. But they're associating the jinn in this case with Allah and his attributes, but they're making excuses for it. So it doesn't end up looking like shirk. Not a lot of consistency, Hatun.
Just, I don't know, for me, like, raises more questions. For example, like, think about the, you said Bob the genie, but think about, like, angel. Or, like, so, for example, like, you've got angel, even they are talking in the video. You've got angel who is responsible to bring rain. So rain is something, like, happens within the universe. God is, like, you would expect that is to be controlled by God. Like, what is Allah doing? Allah has nothing else to do in his throne besides just, like, trying to stand up or something. But, like, he's got giving the certain power is, I don't know, like, for me, just, like, brings more questions and makes more mess of Islam.
Well, welcome to Islam.
Good thing is I'm not in Islam.
I
Yes,
mean, welcome to the window where you can look in at it.
just
but-
like disturbing.
I know why you're bringing the issue of jinn and angels into this, because you're trying to confuse people even more now. You're saying, no. It's not as black and white as Adnan Rashid is saying. It's actually quite nuanced. It's quite complicated. It's not. Angels and jinns are not dead. They are alive and they are around. Okay? Asking the dead.
Well, but wait a minute. Muhammad's not dead, according to them.
I know why he says angels and jinns are alive. Remember, jinns are in the toilet. So probably he's got jinns are in the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so probably he's got, like, a couple of bathrooms in his house. And then he freaks out every time he goes to the bathroom. Jinns are there. That's
and Satan likes using Muslims as toilets as well. If
so,
you ever heard that saying where some Muslims will call other Muslims the toilets of Satan? So the hadith, this hadith where it says that Satan urinates in people's ears, and it's associated with them not responding to the call to prayer.
Yeah.
They can't hear because their ears are stopped up by his urine, and they mean that quite literally. At least Salafis do. Well, for that reason, some Muslims will call others the toilets of Satan because Satan's urinating in their ears. So, but there was something else I was thinking of, is that but the whole idea that he's trying to justify, at least in this case, calling upon others besides Allah. Before, it's all just shirk. You can't do that. Now Daniel has brought up angels and jinn, so he has to backpedal a little bit. Adnan does, and he's going to make allowance for this because certain scholars did. But the distinction here is the angels are alive; they're not dead like other people. But Muhammad is alive according to Muslims, right?
Yeah.
Muhammad's alive in his grave and whatever. Well, other Muslims are too, right? They're all alive in their grave. But anyways, Muhammad's a special case. So I don't know how this would be an answer to those who would justify praying to. They're dead in a physical sense, but not in this other sense. It's not like they're unconscious or.
So Adnan is going to make a case that like bowing down to the prophet's grave is not shirk at all. Not always.
He is, huh?
He's going to make a case like it's not shirk always.
Oh, okay.
See, like within a couple of hours, how people's view changes.
Healing, okay, or for things that only Allah can do. If you ask for those things from anyone, it's shirk akbar. Angels, jinns, stones, monkeys, donkeys, or dolphins, or elephants, anyone, anything on the planet, okay? If you ask them for things that only Allah can do, is shirk akbar. It takes you out of Islam. What more do you need? This is what we call clear Tawhid.
He says, but see, again, like he says, when you ask him for anything that only Allah can do, but he just got through talking about how Allah can let certain beings do this and that. So there's nothing in principle. I mean, honestly, like if you look at some of the Islamic sects, certain extreme Sufi sects and so forth, they believe that Allah granted the authority. Actually, so think of the certain Shia groups. Here it's even more exact. Like there are 11 sheikhs who are all dead, or imams, that have the power to control every atom in the universe.
Yeah, that's gonna come as well. It's no, it's not in this clip, but towards the end of it, yeah, that's why, like, another reason that he's been called Shirk.
Yeah, but it's Adnan saying, on the one hand, he says as long as Allah grants that ability, it's not shirk. But now he just said you can't say anybody can do anything only Allah can do. When then they can say Allah can grant somebody the ability to do everything he can do.
Yeah, his view is going to change when it comes to Shiites, because he's going to call doing that shirk. But right now, no, it's okay. In Shia, they are discussing whether it has been independent from the Allah or not. But yeah, right now he's like, it's okay. It's not always shirk, but as time goes on, yeah, it's shirk.
And bring me some water. Oh, Jinn, I'm thirsty. Or I'm hungry. Oh, Jinn, I'm hungry. Bring me some food. This is clearly in the power of the Jinn, correct? And when it comes to angels,
Islamic Uber.
So we know Jinn can bring you food.
Yeah, Islamic Uber. You just DoorDash, Islamic DoorDash, Jinn DoorDash service.
Do you have to pay them?
Yeah, you're supposed to. I don't know how. I've never really used any of that because I just go down the street and get it myself. But I think they at least are expecting a tip. And
well, so what is the tip to Jinn? I don't know.
What's the going rate? Like,
yeah, for Jinns.
Yeah, I mean, my problem is I've never gotten good service from a Jinn. Never once has a Jinn brought me any food. I don't know what these guys are doing different than me, but apparently they think it works.
Maybe your jinnis are Muslim. Muslim jinni doesn't like you. Their Muslim jinnis likes them, and that makes them sandwich.
Maybe.
Some of the angels can are assigned for bringing the rain.
Okay.
So you can say, "Oh, angels, bring us rain for our crops," and instead of saying, "Oh, Allah, grant us rain, grant us rizq," "Oh, angels, grant us rain."
Notice it's all nameless.
Of the angels, correct?
You're not listening to me.
Hadith.
You have been ignored.
That's allowed. This is a permissible. Yes or no?
No, I said very specifically anything that the Sharia of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stipulates for us is allowed. If the Sharia allows us to ask the angels for certain things at certain point, if it's a big if, okay, then it's okay.
I'm just applying your principles. You said as long as it's something that the angels can do or have been given the power to do, it's not Sharia. So if I call to the angels and say, "Oh, angels, bring me rain," "Oh, angels, that's within the power of some of the malaika have been given that power to be in charge of the rain, the clouds, winds, etc. So if I ask the angels, bring rain for my crops, then this is not shirk akbar according to your definition, correct?
Brother Daniel, you are a very intelligent man. I know you are. I've seen you in action. I've seen you debating. I've seen you conversing. I've seen you having good dialogues. And you're a highly person. You know exactly what I'm saying. But you are ignoring my words. Okay, I'm saying anything that Sharia allows in terms of asking angels and jinns is allowed. Anything other than that, and now, what does Sharia allow? I'm not sure. I haven't specifically looked into this issue.
Well, then you should be talking about publicly. You shouldn't be talking about this issue.
Let's not talk. Yeah, let's not talk.
You shouldn't be talking about. You shouldn't accuse me of. You shouldn't accuse me of not understanding Tawhid. You shouldn't. You accuse me of that, right? But now you're admitting that you don't know.
My Tawhid is clear, Brother Daniel. I'm saying
my Tawhid is clear because I said so. You see, I mean, he's I mean, I think they're doing a great job getting at each other, right? Exposing each other.
Tawhid clear, though.
Huh?
He's making his Tawhid clear. Actually, it was already clear.
Yeah, but why does he get to just take his position for granted and Daniel's got to justify his?
because he came with the team, and he came with the intention of exposing him.
But
He needs to pick up
Daniel's house, and Daniel hospitality dictates that you
like, if in that perspective, if you watch whole video, it really makes you very sad for Daniel. But Adnan Rashid has to pick the side of Jack and Farid, because those are the people who are feeding him information. So and there are other conversations, probably they are feeding him money too, but so therefore, like, he came with the materials to challenge Daniel's positions, and then like verbalize these things again and again, so that whole Dawa world can expose him.
That's funny. I have heard these guys talking about how they're getting paid, and it's funny because that's the same stuff they say. Sometimes you'll hear it. They'll say things like Christians are being paid by Jews, or whatever. I remember years ago when I did more on David's channel back when I was in seminary. People used to, they probably still do, I just don't see the comments as much, but I should ask David. I mean, it's just common fare, but they'll say things like David is a what do you call that high order conspiracy group? David is not a member of the Illuminati, right? So they'll say he's being supported by the Illuminati. And so my point in bringing this up is just to say it's nice to see it also being thrown around against other Muslims, because they're often just trying to silence somebody, right? They're just trying to discredit or undermine them. And so here the same game is being played on them. And so it's interesting to think of how it feels as they're on the receiving end of this sort of thing. It's sort of like, how they will try and shut down conversation by saying you're Islamophobic.
Yeah.
Right. It couldn't possibly be because you just disagree with Islam and you think there's problems with it that need to be critiqued and so forth. It's got to be that you've got this irrational fear. Well, here they are playing the same game with each other. You're being supported by the Saudis. You're being
by Wahhabis.
Wahhabis, yeah. You're being paid.
It's shocking that you're saying, because I am of the view that this is completely impermissible to call on angels, to call on Jinn, only call on Allah. That's what I'm saying. But I'm shocked to
You're
hear
not
you
calling
say,
on them.
I'm shocked to hear you say that you can call to angels, you can call to Jinn if they're able to meet those. I'm shocked that you're saying this, because I think this is completely haram. And it might even be shirk. That's my position. But I thought you were clear on Tawhid. You're saying that you don't even know. You haven't studied.
In my position, angels and jinns are in our world. They are present. They're like human beings. Just like they are a creation of Allah, like other human beings. Going to another human being, asking him for water, for example. Okay, if you have managed to access a jinn in a physical form, and if you want him to give water, okay, I don't think this is shirk, because I'm saying because angels and jinns are in this world, and if you manage to find access to them, and if you know they are capable of helping you within this world, because they are mawjood, they are present, right? They are not ghaib, okay? They're hadir, okay? So if you manage to find them, now, because angels and jinns are in this world like human beings are, okay, and if you can get access to them, somehow find them, and you want to interact with them as you do with humans, this is not shirk, no problem. Khalas, move on. That's my answer. Yallah. In Sharia, we know jinns were seen, okay? They were seen by multiple people. We have testimonies, not dreams. Now you're looking very naive.
Don't talk over me. Please,
Yes.
Akhi. I'm asking you for the 10th time. Have some respect.
You are misrepresenting me. You are misrepresenting me in front of me.
Akhi, you have misrepresented me with almost every other sentence, but I still give you the respect and decency to finish what you're saying before interrupting you. So please don't talk over me. Let me respond. And
okay, so did we all picked up that Adnan Rashid thinks, you can call upon angels and genies?
But even by Adnan's acknowledgement, if you're calling upon them to do something that Allah hasn't enabled them to do, then it's shirk. That's why I keep making the point that unless you know, even on these standards, specifically which angel you're calling upon, and that angel has been granted that, how do you know you're not committing shirk? I mean, I'm saying I would disagree with the whole idea of addressing invisible beings and that sort of thing, calling upon shirk and angels. But he's saying that the justification for it is at least they're here, unlike other beings that people call upon. At least they're here. And what makes it not shirk is that Allah has given them the ability. If he hasn't given them the ability, then it's shirk. You're asking them to do what only Allah can do. So without knowledge of who these specific beings are, you can't be sure that you're not committing shirk by asking a being to do something it's not been allowed to do. You know, you got to know whether it's Gabriel or not. And you got to know whether Gabriel's been told he can do this or not.
Well, if Surah 33 wasn't corrupted and got missing, probably Surah 33 verse 185 to 198 would give all the details, but it's not there now.
Well, what are you going to do?
Give a complete sentence to what you're saying. So, number one, the jinn and the angels, they are part of the ghaib. Now, if there are miraculous situations, such as in the hadith of Jibril, when Jibril took the form of a man and he came, and the Sahaba like Umar radiallahu anhu saw Jibril in the form of a man, yeah, those are miraculous situations. That's not the norm for me and you to go and say, oh, Jibril, yeah, Jibril, or oh, Mikael, bring rain. It's something permissible. It's just something within the power of the angels to bring us rain or to bring us food or to bring us, well, it's within their power. Therefore, this is halal. This is what you're saying. So I'm shocked by this. I'm sure your audience is shocked by this. That's point number one. Point number two, those who claim that istighatha is permissible, which I don't agree with, they also claim that, well, just like the angels and jinn are part of the ghaib, then the barzakh is also part of the ghaib. But the prophets are alive in their graves, and they can hear our dua, and they can even sometimes answer our requests. And this is the position of Ibn Taymiyyah. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says that the dead can actually respond in a miraculous way to requests that are made at their graves. And he says this, I've quoted it, the full quote in Arabic and English translation on my Twitter. You can go see that. So this distinction that you're trying to draw between angels and jinn and the dead, it's not really a solid distinction. And it's shocking to me because I think all of this is haram and potentially shirk. But you're going much further than me, and you're saying that actually it is permissible as long as you're requesting the angel to bring you something that is within his power, then it's fine. Or asking the jinn. So imagine I go to a field in the dark and I say, oh, jinn, please bring me wealth. Bring me wealth and money and a house. These are things I can ask like any person, right? I can ask my mom, I can ask my dad, I can ask a king, I can ask the president. So the jinn are also mawjood, as you said. So I can ask you, oh, jinn, yeah, jinn, bring me wealth, bring me money, bring me a house. And then I say, oh, thank you, jinn. Thank you so much. Just like I thank my parents, or I thank a king, or I thank a president. I say, oh, thank you. I'll do anything for you, jinn. Just like I do say to real people, like my parents or what have you. So what is wrong with this example? Is this shirk or not? Is calling to the jinn for help shirk or not? Again, Ibn Taymiyyah says it is permissible. He says, he doesn't say it's shirk akbar. He says this is permissible. Do you agree that this is permissible, or is it shirk?
Okay, because you don't understand the dynamics, again, you haven't even read the Quran carefully. If you had, you would have remembered that Sulaiman alayhi salam used a jinn to bring the Queen of Sheba to Sulaiman alayhi salam within no time. He told the jinn to do what he wanted him to do. Clearly, he had access to jinns, and he used the jinn. Okay, and Ifrit came forward, as we know the story from the Quran. If you had read the Quran carefully, so clearly, it is not what you're trying to claim it is. It is not like the dead person, the dead sheikh, or the dead prophet in the grave, and you're going to the person and saying, heal me, heal me, heal me. Something only Allah can do. Okay, give
Just
me
because
a child.
a prophet has
Wait,
done
no,
something.
No. Don't cut me.
Because
Don't
a
cut me.
prophet can does it.
Don't cut me. Don't cut me. I've given you an example now. You can do what you want with it. Okay, clearly you didn't know it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or you didn't remember it. Let's assume the best for you. You didn't remember it. Now I reminded you that in the Quran there are examples where jinns were used by prophets. For example, Sulaiman alayhi salam used jinn because he had access to the jinn. Jinn was physically there, and he used him for physical work. This was physically happening, not a dream.
The jinn built the pyramids.
It was physically happening. Okay, this took place because he brought the throne within no time. So there is the example. Therefore, using jinns when you have access to them is not shirk. Okay.
So Sulaiman, even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet.
So
See, I told you the Islamic sources can be used to justify anything.
yeah, like a little bit earlier, he expressed that he didn't study this topic, and now he become expert, and then just talking about the topic.
Yeah, but I think they've refuted each other in many ways. I think both have shown the other to be out of step at various points with the sources and the scholars and all that, because the sources are just a hodgepodge full of everything that a bunch of people throughout the Middle East could throw in there and pin on Muhammad.
Because Tawhid is so simple, Islam is so simple, Shirk is very simple. Yeah.
As simple can be.
Yeah, there is a something called like this is as clear as mud or something. This is like that, these moments.
Yeah, as clear as mud.
Yeah.
It's as clear as the clean water that Muhammad would drink, because he said nothing makes water unclean. So muddy water was clean to him.
Okay, I think this is the last part where they are going to talk about it's okay to do sujood in the graves, and then it's done after that.
Okay.
Prophet asked or spoke to the dead as well. He went Isra wal Mi'raj. He was speaking to the Anbiya like Musa alayhi salam. So does that mean now we have permission to speak to the dead? This is Tawhid. So you started this interrogation of me. You brought some
I've clarified my position.
Don't interrupt, please. Don't interrupt.
Daniel, I told you, brother Daniel, I told you.
Please.
Yeah, my position is clear.
Have some respect, please, brother Adnan.
Sure, indeed.
You brought up the very important point that Tawhid and Aqidah are so important in our deen. You had clips prepared to show me and interrogate me that I have confusion on Tawhid. But now I'm asking you a very simple question about Jinn and angels and calling to them instead of calling to Allah for permissible matters. You've already said that if you ask something that only Allah can provide, then that is shirk akbar. Okay, alhamdulillah, you said that at least. But what about other things? Because wealth is something that a person can do. I can ask a king to give me wealth. I can ask a king to fight my enemies. I can ask a king to build me a beautiful house. These are all things that it's not only Allah can do them, but in this dunya, people can do them. Bi'idhnillah. So is this permissible to call on the jinn to fulfill these needs for dunyawi things like wealth or even health? Because I can say, oh, jinn, bring me medicine. Maybe the medicine is too expensive at the hospital. I want a cure, but it's too expensive. Oh, jinn, bring me the cure for my sickness. Is this falling under the permissible calls, the permissible istighatha to jinn or not? I, again, think that this is haram and it's arguably shirk. It's shirk. But I want to hear you say that this is clearly and undoubtedly shirk. Have the same kind of hard stance that you had with me and claiming that I don't understand Tawhid. You explain to us how this is shirk or that it's not shirk. So you want evidence, to be clear, you want evidence that calling to jinn is shirk. This is what you want evidence for?
I want evidence that, what Sulaiman alayhi salam did with jinns was shirk akbar, okay? And if it wasn't shirk akbar, okay, where is your evidence from Sharia, direct clear-cut evidence that what Sulaiman alayhi salam did with jinns is shirk today? Again, Brother Daniel, again, I don't mean to insult you, but these are some basic things that people know. Basic students of Islam know these things, and you don't seem to understand these things. If today someone makes sajda to a sheikh, for example, okay, or their mother or father, okay, is that shirk? Absolutely not. If they are bowing, making sajda for respect, it's haram. It is absolutely haram. It's major haram. It's from the kaba'ir, but it's not shirk, because sajda of ta'zeem is different to shirk or exclusivity of ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So because sajda was used for two reasons in the past, ta'zeem and ibadah. So now it only remains as an act of ibadah today. Okay, it's haram for ta'zeem. You can use it. You can do it for ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you cannot do it even for ta'zeem, even for respecting or dignifying someone. So this is the distinction
haram.
that. Sorry.
So it's haram to do the sajda of ta'zeem
100%.
for your mom, for your dad, for a
Sharia.
king. What if you go to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is it haram or is it shirk akbar if you do sajda to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for ta'zeem, not ibadah?
Ta'zeem, absolutely not haram. It is absolutely haram, not shirk. Absolutely haram, not shirk. Sajda of ta'zeem, because this is ta'zeem. If someone is making ta'zeem to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and bows, makes sajda to the qabr of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the intention of ta'zeem, this is haram. It's not kufr and shirk.
I disagree with you. I think that if you're making sajda to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is potentially shirk. It's not only haram, it's potentially shirk.
I think, Brother Danny, you're the last person I would ask.
Interruption.
You're the last person I would ask about Tawhid and Shirk, Brother Daniel.
Interruption.
Yes, please.
So I, again, just like you are unclear about the line that divides something that is haram versus something that is shirk, you bring all of these nuances. Is it ta'zeem? Is it ibadah? For sajda, we're talking about sajda. This is what you said. If someone makes sajda to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I don't say that that's shirk if he has a certain intention. That's what you said. You're not sure that that is shirk. So that is exactly what I'm saying when it comes to making calls to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think it's shirk, but there's a chance it's not ma'loom min ad-din bi-darura because there's not an explicit text from the Quran and Hadith that mention this. Therefore, I cannot say with absolute certainty, qat'i certainty. It's only dhanni. It's only an ijtihad, like the ijtihad of Shah Wali Allah, like Alusi, like other ulama of our history. But it's very interesting that sajda to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't think it's shirk, you think it's haram if it's for ta'zeem intention, and you think that is permissible. It's not even haram, it's halal to call to the jinn with requests and angels instead of Allah for things that you need in your life, like I want rain, I want wealth, I want money and built and houses. This is permissible according to you. So I'm sad that you're not going to, you think that I don't understand Tawhid, but I think that there's a lot of questions that your audience will have for your understanding of Tawhid. Yeah. This is not like a minor issue, Brother Adnan. This is a huge, this is Tawhid. This is Tawhid and Shirk, and you're just asking the audience to help you and bring you stuff. You should know this.
So
Suleiman you should know this. You should, let me finish. You should know that what is Tawheed and what is Shirk. Why are you asking the audience for help? Like the angels prostrating to Adam alayhi salam. This is not Shirk because they have been given permission by Allah to do that. So shar'an, they are allowed to do that. Shar'an, we are not. This is haram and this is Shirk. But you are saying it is permissible to call on the jinn and to call on angels for your needs instead of Allah. I mean, you realize that the statement that you made makes you a kafir according to Bin Baz.
Just like you, like, wait.
Okay, we can pause there.
Poor things. Yeah, so for those that don't know, the whole thing stems from Muhammad's blunder again. So eventually it was Islamic orthodoxy in Muhammad's developing thought that you can only bow or prostrate to Allah. The problem is he had already introduced into the Quran the teaching that the angels were commanded to bow down to Adam. So now what do? Well, this is what gives rise to it was once permissible, but now it's not permissible. But it's a very uneasy thing to say that Allah once allowed shirk and now he doesn't. So you have to say it's just a major sin now because Allah forbids it. It's not shirk. Because if it's shirk now, it would always be shirk, right? I mean, how could it not be? How could it be fundamentally other than what it is in all time? Right. So, anyways, that's why they're having this whole dispute, because their sources created the problem. Get rid of the dumb Quran, and you guys won't have all these difficulties.
So at the end, what we have is Tawhid is very simple. That Muslims need to fight with one another to figure out whether they can call upon a prophet, whether they can call upon jinn or angels, or even people who are in the grave. Because Tawhid is very simple.
Very, very simple. So simple that these lifelong Muslims went on for hours debating the other person's Tawhid.
That was like almost 3 hours, just that topic. And as I said earlier, a whole video is 7 hours, 54 minutes. Please go to, what is the name? Muslim Spectic, Daniel Haqiqatjou's channel, and then watch it. We try to focus on from minute of 1 hour, 46 minutes to 3 hours, 53 minutes. I cut it certain parts. There was repetition, all those kind of things. So we don't want to misrepresent whole that 8 hours video, but go and check it over there. And then if you figure out where they turn to Muhammad and turn to Allah to get the references, definition for Tawhid, definition for Shirk, as well as Shirk Akbar, Shirk, or not Shirk at all, let us know in case we missed it. Find it very disturbing, very disturbing.
Very sad.
They turn to us and then they say like, yeah, your God doesn't make sense, Trinity doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense. Show us exactly these words from your sources. And then you get to see actually, now it was behind the doors, but now in public platforms, they are doing exactly the same thing to one another.
Indeed. Indeed.
Okay, I've got a couple of spare chats. I'm going to deal with them, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions before I let you go. Jasper, thank you very much for your generosity and kindness. The White, thank you. The Wasabi Shahada. So we were talking about Wahhabi shahada. So there is apparently Wasabi Shahada with no spice in it and peace in it. Franz, thank you very much for the your generosity. Batfet UK, thank you very much. Anthony, I think you are grateful to me that I sent you wrong video because you didn't have to suffer as much as I suffered. Overall, what are the questions you think we can take from this video as we engage with Muslims? We try to find the ways to share the gospel. What kind of questions we can ask Muslims to keep them accountable for Islam?
Number one is, if Tawhid is simple, why can't Muslims like Adnan, Rashid, and Daniel Haqiqatjou, who have been Muslims their whole lives and have studied Islam, why can't they agree on it? Number two, if it's simple and these guys who studied it don't understand it, why can't they resolve the issue? Here they are talking for hours. Maybe if we could get past one or the other or both of them misunderstanding it for 30 or 40, however old these guys are, 30 or 40 years, maybe they just haven't seen the right stuff. Maybe they haven't seen the right statements to clarify it all. So why can't they quickly iron this out? Again, if it's so simple. This is one of the selling points. Remember, Islam is sold to people as much simpler than the Christian Trinity. And of course, simplicity doesn't mean truth. Otherwise, we'd have to reject algebra and advanced geometry and trigonometry and all that, right? Simplicity doesn't necessarily mean true. But even here, they don't meet their own criteria. It doesn't seem to be simple. Their big duas don't agree on it. And I don't know what. Let's see. Third question. I mean, who's the actual authority in Islam? Is it Allah and his apostle, or is it all these other scholars they're talking about? The whole thing has been almost entirely focused on what scholars say. They did get into a little bit of, at the very end, finally Allah got to say something. Yeah, they quoted Allah talking about Solomon talking to the Jinn, but that was about it, right? And Allah telling the angels to commit shirk. Of course, they don't call it shirk in that case. It was just Tawhid. So, yeah, I mean, so why does it seem to be a religion of the sheikhs and the scholars instead of Allah? If you've got Allah's own word on something, why are you chasing after all these other guys?
Yeah, and then ask like, oh, can you pray to Jinn? Can you call upon the Jinn? And the Jinns, those who are thief, they come and steal things from your kitchen.
Yeah, can you call upon the Jinn? How do you know if it's a good Jinn or not? How do you know if it's been granted the ability to do that or not? Even if, because they kept saying, for example, in the discussion, he was talking about angels having prerogative to bring rain or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say all the angels. It's speaking of specific angels being tasked with certain things. And, you have to justify that it's not just talking about a specific occasion or different occasions. Maybe it's different angels on different occasions. My whole point with this line of thought is just that you can't just randomly call out to angels because they're present, at least some are, and ask them to do something unless you know Allah's told them they can do it. Otherwise, it's shirk, according to both of them. So, I mean, how are you not absolutely petrified as a Muslim that you're not committing shirk at every turn, given how confusing it is?
They have to get their foot right to enter the bathroom, but they have no, because they're so afraid of genies. But they feel they can comfortably call upon genie to bring them coffee or sandwich or valve, all those kind of things. Very concerning. Versus like, it is shirk to pray to Jesus, yet it is not shirk to call upon genies. I have a question for you, Anthony. Numbers 12 verse 8. Why does the pre-incarnate Jesus use the third person when talking Moses beholding the form of Yahweh in Numbers 12 verse 8? When it is his form, why doesn't he say he beholds my form?
Yeah, so one thing is, it's not always the case that if somebody speaks in the third person, he's speaking about somebody else. The whole Torah being written by Moses speaks about Moses in the third person. And obviously Moses, the author, doesn't think that he's somebody other than Moses. So that's the first thing. You can't just take for granted that what's called technically Iliism, referring to oneself in the third person, is a reference to somebody else. Jesus often spoke of himself in the Gospels as the Son of Man. He said the Son of Man is going to go just as it has been written of him. He spoke of himself in the third person. He doesn't think the Son of Man is somebody other than himself. Now, having said that, I do think there are cases in Scripture where the Lord is speaking and uses the third person precisely because he's talking about another person. And this sort of thing is usually discernible contextually. So, for example, in Exodus 24, the Lord says, come up the mountain to Yahweh. He's telling Moses to come up the mountain to someone. The evidence that this is not just God talking about himself in the third person is that just a few verses prior to this, he told Moses he's going to send his malach before him, my messenger, my angel. Angel just means messenger, doesn't necessarily mean creature, whether heavenly or earthly. It's just a messenger of some sort. He says, I'm going to send my messenger, and you're not to rebel against him. He won't pardon your sins, for my name is in him. So this figure bears the very name of God, and as such has the prerogative to forgive or not forgive. This is the one contextually Moses is being told to come up to. This was even recognized by ancient Jews. It became especially problematic for them after the coming of Christ because Christians were using it to prove a second divine person in the Godhead. Another person who bears the very divine name, exercises the divine prerogatives such as forgiving sins and so forth. So the basic answer that I'm giving here is you can't always assume that third person means another person, but you can sometimes know that that's the case. And I would just say you got to examine the context here to determine how this third person reference is being used. Is it being used to refer to a distinct person, or is it just God speaking about himself in the third person?
Okay. Thank you. What is it coming up for you in next coming days or weeks? How can people pray for you? How can people support you, Anthony? Probably prayer to understanding the Tawhid. I'm guessing that's one of the things people can pray for.
Yeah, actually, that would be a good and relevant prayer because I am doing a debate in April 14th at North Carolina State University with a Muslim. It was originally supposed to be with Shabir Ali. We were going to do 2 debates. These were going to be his last 2 debates. However, Dr. Ali expressed his interest in having some more time to study in preparation for those debates. So they're going to be towards the end of the year, Lord willing. But we didn't want to call off the whole event. I mean, we've made plans. It was kind of, put us in a bit of a spot because we've secured a location for it. We've made, announcements about it, advertisements, other things. So happily, we were able to find a local imam who's going to take Shabir's place. And that means the topic has changed too, though. With Shabir, I was going to debate, did Paul continue the teachings of Jesus? And then did Muhammad continue the teachings of Jesus? So 2 debates.
Yeah.
With this guy, it's going to be Trinity or Tawhid. And the way it's set up is kind of unique, but I mean, it's in a sense 2 debates in one. Like when I was going to debate Shabir, these were going to be 2 separate debates. This one is kind of combining them in a sense, but the first half of it will be focused more on Trinity, the second half more on Tawhid, and then we'll have some closing statements and so forth. But so that's a main thing that's coming up for me as far as debates. So I guess I'll have at least 2 different main formal public debates, Shabir towards the end of the year, and then this fellow in April. And then I'll be speaking at numerous conferences in numerous places. I know that I'm supposed to, I can't remember the date, but I know I'm supposed to do a conference in North Carolina at some point this year. And then I know that Elle and Eric have asked me to go up to their conference in Ohio. So I'll probably be doing that at some point. There's other stuff I'm probably forgetting as far as Islam related stuff. And then besides that, of course, I have the ongoing prison ministry work that I do. In fact, while we were sitting here, the national advisor of our group is not going to. Anyways, huh?
He's calling.
No. So on Thursdays, we've been teaching a class together. He lives about an hour away, and he was just telling me he's not going to be here, so it's just on me, which is fine. I mean, it won't change anything, you know. I'll teach, and it just means he won't be interjecting, you know. So, huh?
Because he's not there, that doesn't mean you are gonna party with the inmates.
No. So yeah, I got the ongoing prison ministry. What else is going on? I mean, I don't know, a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, and you've got live streams are coming.
Oh yeah. Lots of live streams.
Good. Thank you very much. And how can people support you? If anyone wants to support you financially, where do they go to?
Oh, I mean, they could look on my videos. I usually have some links in the description boxes. They can look there and see.
Okay, I'll put the links in the description as well. Please do forgive me if this is gonna cause you more stress, in a sense, like now you are very much where Muslims can't even figure out the Tawhid as well as Shirk, and it's gonna help you to it's gonna cause you to study more and more. That wasn't the intention. Intention was just to get some clarification of very basics of Islam.
Well, no, it's good. I mean, it you know, my natural interest every day when I wake up, when it comes to any kind of free time that I have, is to pursue a further knowledge of the scriptures of the Lord Jesus and so forth. And so it can be many weeks between when I've last looked at something Islamic, because that's just not my natural interest. So it's good that I've done this just to get the wheels moving again in preparation for this debate with a Muslim, because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that could potentially be brought up. You know, I might want to ask the guy I'm debating if it's okay to pray at Muhammad's grave.
Yeah, or
Adnan
like
Rashid says it's shirk.
get him to say, well, standard narrative has holes in it when it comes to this.
Yeah.
And then we can have field date with that. Anyway, thank you very much for willing to join me and then help us to get more confused. Thank you for your willingness to clean up their mess. I don't think it went well, but you were willing to kind of bring your comments and clarifications for it. And thank you very much, everyone who joined us in the chat as well. By God's grace, we will see you on another live stream. Until once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.